mistake you called out was right.
Oh, wait, can you do that again?
Yes, the mistake you found was correct.
Wendy,
The
it's
formula,
recording.
the formula in the sheet needs to be changed. This says this number minus this number. It has to be changed to this number plus this number.
That's what I thought.
Copied over. This sheet
She needs to
be
re-sign it.
re-sign it and be placed in the permanent package.
Okay, I just like the fact that you said I was right.
It's recorded, Wendy.
John Perry said I was right this week.
I said you were right. Wendy, you're on a roll.
I know.
So you can have Jeremy just take that little piece of the video and send it to you. And you can
I
just play it on a loop.
Hey,
And you
guess what? Jim Quigley told me I was right.
So-
So that's two men.
So you,
Not that I didn't want to.
No, but you told me I was right too.
so you can
But I
just
got
then
this one on
play it on a
video.
loop.
I'll play it on a
Michael.
loop. That's a good idea.
So
Michael,
when
Jim
Jeremy
Quigley
gets
says I'm
back,
is this a municipal district
so
or a
when
private
Jeremy gets back, I
transportation?
can edit that little piece and send it to you.
And
You
the
can just play it on a
formation
loop.
requires the consent of the local municipality. Thank you.
I just like to pick on them.
I like when I hear it too. As much as people do, I got good lines there. Just Greg. And I heard every single one of them.
Yes.
From somewhere. Oh, yeah.
Someday I'll tell you the story. Right now, I don't need to get into, there's too many rumors floating around. He said, she said, he did this because of this, and this. Well, can we tell Mr. Van Fleet today? Mr. Van Fleet gave a story, so I had to respond. Trying not to go in butter, trying not to tear him up.
I thought your reasoning behind it was very, very good.
5 inches. It's 55 pounds, okay? Yeah, this last 4 days.
I'm taking credit for 3 of those pounds.
Pounds.
Taking credit for this.
By the way, I got your message from Wendy about the export. I'm working on. I'm close to your request. How's that? I'm close to your request. Look, it said export. What are we talking about the New York State?
Oh, you coming back in there? I know. Well, 1, 2, 3, yeah. 4, 30. The time is we're getting close. Okay, it's now 6 o'clock. We all start the meeting. Please rise. Somewhere
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to thank you all for coming today. Take attendance first of all. Councilperson Kelly. Councilperson Diana Klein. Councilperson Gregory Simpson. There. Town Attorney Matt Dankowski. That's a yes. Yeah. Town Clerk Tracy Kellogg. Deputy Supervisor. What's his name? Our budget director, one of our budget directors also, Jim Quigley. All right, Debbie Dowdy is on out of state, so she won't be here today.
Mike, do you want to ask anybody if they want?
Yes, if you want
before?
to speak, you can sign this paper over there if you want.
I don't have a pen. Okay, good. Right.
All right, we're gonna break a little tradition a little bit, right? We start now with public comment, but however, Jim Quigley has another meeting to come in about an hour or so, so we are going to have him speak first, and then we'll go comment. Jim Quigley?
Good evening, Supervisor Bombs and the town, ladies and gentlemen of the town of Hurley Town Board, residents of the town of Hurley. Tonight, I am pleased to report and present the first installment of what will be an improved financial reporting system for the residents of the town board. First item that I will present to the town board and ask for their acceptance of these documents will be the monthly town clerk's report. This report is presented monthly in the town of Ulster to the town board by the town clerk, and we take a vote to accept this. Now, the importance of this is that the financial information presented on this report is in the minutes of the town board. And when the state auditors come in or the financial auditors come in for the annual financial statements, they have a basis of reference and understand that the town board has monitored the monthly activities of the town clerk's office. So we have here a summary statement followed up in the package of information with 3 individual reports for the months of January, February, and March. The report shows a total revenue to the town clerk's office of approximately $77,500. Of that, the building department, which is comprised of the lines building permits, fire inspections, renewal, searches, and short-term rentals, totals $63,338. It's 81%, almost 82% of the total revenues. I also wish to note that there is a mathematical error in the bottom of the report that does not affect revenues coming to the town accounting office, and it will be corrected tomorrow by the bookkeeper, and I'm happy to say she found it, I did it, and she gets credit for fixing it. So I asked the town board to consider this report delivered, and I asked them to make a motion to accept the 3 months of the town clerk's reports for the town of Hurley.
Jim, can you explain the mathematical error? That way we can.
Okay, if you go to the bottom of the January 24 column, you see a total of 8,430. Go back, Maggie, to summary schedule.
Okay.
Right there. The $8,431, you have $9 below that. You have 8,422 on the schedule. That's a deduction. It should be 8,431 plus the numbers that are in that section. And if you wish and note the following, January's revised total is 8,440. February's revised total is 22,895, and March's total is $48,241.38. Now, I will also point out $48,241.38. Those are the numbers that are appearing at the bottom of the monthly sheets that follow the summary. We have made some changes in the operations of the town clerk's office. When you come into a new engagement, you focus to make sure all the cash is being properly recorded and collected. We have accomplished that to date. In addition, we have changed the reporting of the transfer station and the revenues that are carried down by the transfer station personnel to the town clerk's basis now on a daily basis. These revenues in the future will be reported in the town clerk's report as opposed to being reported in the general financial activities of the bookkeeping office. So, gentlemen, I ask for your approval.
Make a motion. All in favor? Any discussion?
I just want to say how great it is to have financial. Thank you for your diligent work, Dan and Wendy. This is really wonderful, and Tracy.
Tracy. I'm Tracy.
Yeah.
So you had been given January and February, but until Mr. Quigley was able to go through all of this, I don't think that we had approved in March, but I may be incorrect.
It's important that they be presented to the town board, recognized as being presented and accepted by the town board in the minutes, so that there's a basis in a document if it's ever needed to be reviewed.
Are you gonna need these abstracts?
Moving forward, you'll have that.
Okay,
But I want to
would you go
also
back?
say thank you, everybody.
Any further discussion? Go back. All in favor?
I,
Just scroll down.
Who made the motion and who seconded?
I guess we'll wait till the end.
Oh, yeah, I already
Yeah,
saw
that
that, but then I closed it.
Did you guys go
Yes, that is.
from
Okay.
Can
the
you blow that
motion
up?
Yep,
to the
sure can.
approval list?
Ladies and gentlemen, the next most important activity within the accounting area is the payment of the bills of the town. And that is accomplished through a process called vouchering and then the presentation of the abstract to the town board. In the town of Ulster, we present the abstract monthly for approval, and it's recorded in the town board minutes, and there's a record of what we have spent. In addition, our voucher packages are usually put on our town's website. So tonight, I am pleased to present abstracts number 1 through 6, reflecting the bills paid by the Town of Hurley Town Board for the period January 1st through March 31st, 2024. They are broken down, as you can see, by the nature of the fund in which the cash was taken out. And I wish to point out the following. Of the $2.497 million dispersed by the town, 1.72 represented transfer of tax levy revenues to the West Hurley Fire and Library Districts and the Hurley Fire and Library Districts. The bills paid for operations were $765,300. That is broken down into bills related to 2023 of $259,654.37, and bills reflecting expenses incurred in 2024 of $505,645.84. The individual abstracts are provided in the package. They show each check that was written to each vendor. There is a brief description as to what the expense is related to. Where are we going forward? or let me step back a second. These both these reports, the town clerk's report and the abstract summary, are presented on the basis of the cash basis of accounting. That will not be the basis of accounting that the town is required to follow by the New York State Controller's rules. The New York State Controller requires that the town follow an accrual method of accounting, which basically means revenues are recognized in the period in which they are earned. Expenses are recognized in the period in which they are incurred or the services are provided. Those dates are different than the dates that the bills get paid, which is the reason I have broken out 2023 and 2024. The reason that this exercise is taking so long is that the accounting system that was purchased by the town in 2023 is not functioning properly. It was not set up properly, and it only basically prints out the checks and the abstracts which are presented here tonight, and the checks that are sent out to the vouchers. When we went into the database, we were only able to retrieve checks that were written through April of 2023. There were very few transactions in the database subsequent to April 23. When we consulted with the external auditors, RBT, that were fired in July of 2024, we found out that there was an anticipation that the two systems, the system that was running in-house and the system that RBT was running, were supposed to be running parallel, meaning they were both recording the transactions at the same time. And the intention was to match the resulting product, the output, at the end of the trial period to make sure everything was functioning. That did not happen. There basically are no accounting records other than the transactional data. And by that, I mean the bank statements, the cash receipts, and the checks that were issued. There is no general ledger. There is no listing of checks issued. Everything is being recreated manually. Ladies and gentlemen, yes.
You said that the previous accounting firm was fired July of 2024. Is that
23.
23, I'm sorry, I stand corrected.
I have a question. You mentioned $259,000 in invoices from 2023. They're solely in 2023, or they're from previous years as well?
I cannot answer that right now. I merely split it down into 23 and 24. In consulting with the manual and some peers in the industry, we basically concurred that any bills arising from periods prior to 2023 are to be booked as 2023 expenses, because we can't go back and restate 21 or 22. Second of all, these transactions presented here tonight are merely for the period January 1st through March 31st. And these expenses that are presented do not reflect the payroll that was paid through ADP to the employees of the town. And we will have a follow-up presentation on that later in the agenda.
One thing also that needs to be known, that on December 27, 2023, it was a reconciliation, and there's an error in the reconciliation. It says here that the reconciliation surplus revenue was $296,696.27. In addition, an error in adding, it should have been $261,696.27. Now we have to do now is we have paid $259,456.37 of 2023 bills in 2024. We now have to go back, and that surplus that was there, that number has to be subtracted from that. Basically, what it means is there was no surplus in 2023.
I think we still have the same number of bills. We have paid.
And also, yes, and there's still some more bills that are coming in right now that come back from 2023. So it may look as if we have spent a lot of money. As of this point right now, it's 260,000, for example, for bills that we had to pay that was past due. And not only that, though, there were a couple of vendors who suspended our accounts for non-payment. So we had to go back and reopen those accounts, and somebody took a long time to do that. I want to thank Jim for coming up and doing this thing. This whole thing was done by hand. I mean, literally done by hand. Coming through there, and it took a long time. And the thing is, though, what's happening is that the software we have to do this thing is not efficient. And what we have to do is we're gonna have to spend more money to get a different software that also town of also uses, that we are going to get also and coming through there. So these are just corrections, more or less, coming through.
Yes, sir.
So I noticed that we've been talking a bit about the vouchers and the coding on the vouchers and the balances that could possibly be there. Is that something that you're thinking that we should implement?
First of all, the town of Hurley uses an abbreviated chart of accounts. You're using a .1, a .2, a .4, etc. And that's basically an aggregation of sub-accounts. I have recreated the chart of accounts and has broken that .1 down to 3 digits. So it's out to 999 in every category, which gives the ability to record a separate line for electric, a separate line for water. I mean, it's 999 options as to what information you wish to break out and collect. And will give management a better ability to understand where the money in the expense line is going. The second thing I want to call out to you is that I have been recoding the codes that the vouchers have been produced under. In going through last year's bills, I found bills that related to the landfill being charged to drainage districts. Now, I haven't finished my review with 2023 because I was asked to move to 2024, but the pattern of thinking in the coding continued on in the first 2 months of this year. And when Wendy came in, she followed the lessons that were preceding her. We have completely rebuilt a database of all the vouchers through abstract 1 through 9 and have recoded all the invoices. So now when she sees an invoice from Central Hudson with a specific bill number on it, she goes into the database, finds out where it should be charged, and that is the number that now ends up on the voucher.
That's the number of the account,
That's the account number that the expense relates to.
but we're not yet recording the amount that is in that, the balance. That's what I'm.
That is the next part of the exercise, okay?
I'm interested.
So where we are going next is that at the next meeting, we will be presenting the form of the report that I provided to you last month. That will be a summary position of the bank accounts, the dollars and cents that are in those bank accounts at December 31st and at March 31st, as well as a complete cash receipts and cash disbursements journal as it would be reflected on the books of the town. We are not in position to fully implement accrual-based accounting. We have not gotten our hands around the flow of the purchase invoices. Okay, to the audience, I want to make this comment. When you come in, as you heard me say, the first thing you do is get your hands on the cash coming in to make sure it's properly collected and properly deposited. We've gotten that portion of the exercise done. We know where all the cash comes in from. We know, and we're comfortable it all makes it into the bank on a timely basis. It's no longer sitting in the office for a week or 10 days before it gets deposited to the bank. The second most important observation is the employees must be paid timely and accurately. Later on in the agenda tonight, you will see a presentation on some errors we found in deductions being taken in error out of employees' paychecks. And the presentation is a request for the town board to approve the restitution of those monies to their employees. There is a chart or a schedule in the presentation that shows you each employee and the amount of money that was in error deducted from their paychecks. That goes back to an error in ADP and how they were set up when they came on board as a new employee with the town of Hurley. We also have issues in payroll related to contributions being made to the state retirement system and deferred comp that we are working through for the period of January 1st through current. We hopefully have corrected the current payroll cycle so that all deductions are proper and being remitted to the appropriate agencies on a timely basis. We now need to go back and reconcile the previous deductions that were taken out of the employees' paychecks. As you can see, this is a massive exercise when you have 30 employees and they're getting paid twice a month, and then you got 12 or 14 employees in the highway department that are being paid on the opposite cycle. When you're not paying the full payroll, you're paying the highway department on a weekly basis.
I just had one question on the monies from 23, the unappropriated and appropriated fund balances. If those were incorrect, how does that affect my highway budget for this year? Do we know that yet, or that's something that we're still being worked through?
Mr. Schultz, I can't give you an accurate answer right now. I need to complete the accounting of 2023 to be able to provide that to you. But as you and I had a conversation in the meeting the other night, we talked about the CHIPS revenue that was not collected in 23 that reflects expenses you paid in 23. And I asked you to verify that you could recover that money from the DOT. So there's your cushion, okay?
That's $74,000.
That's a start. That's a start. And that's all I can say. I recognize that there may be an issue. We've had a discussion on a partial solution to move forward.
Can I make a comment? I mean, when we first started this, one of the things that we were heavily looking at was expending a substantial amount of money with an outside audit in order to try to reconcile, because the moment we got into office, we saw certain things. A month or so, 2 months later, there were other things that became very evident. I really applaud and thank Jim, because in Jim having stepped up to work with us and to help, and then transferring Wendy out of the clerk's office to mine, definitely. What we really are getting here is so far better than what we would have gotten with an outside audit, because what we're getting for the town of Hurley is even more in depth, I believe, than what we would have gotten in an audit. But better than that, we're setting up the structure. So it's taking us longer, but we as a town will not be in the same place that we were when we walked into that office again. We will have a structure and be able to give answers in on the fly almost. And the people that are in there right now are Wendy, the new people in the clerk's office. And I mean, listen, I could care less whether I get reelected, but again, I hope I get reelected, because I think that what we're doing is a good job, but there's going to be the structure in place for anybody to step in and not be in the same place that we were. So anyway, that's my thank you.
Well, and Tracy, I don't think you're suggesting, I think that the outside audit will be easier to perform. I would still
No, it wouldn't just be
recommend
the same.
that we use UHY to complete an audit once this is all been set.
But it would have been much more simple.
If I may say, the auditor comes in and relies on a system of internal controls.
We didn't have
That means checks and balances within the transaction flow that is present within the organization. It relies on a functioning accounting system that maintains a database that collects the transactional data. Both of those attributes were missing. Okay? My exercise in going to the depth that I am going is functionally a forensic audit at the transaction level. Now, one of the things that will be spoken about in future meetings is the review of the town clerk's office financial records for 2023, which the town board has a requirement to audit every single office of the town that handles cash. There wasn't an audit of the town clerk's office performed. There wasn't an audit of the tax collector's office performed. And as I gave Mr. Bombs, and I will refer to the audience here, you can look at the Town of Ulster website. Town of Ulster Town Board has outside auditors reviewing the tax collectors and the town clerk's office. We have outside auditors reviewing the justice court, and we have outside auditors reviewing the town's general financial activities. All those reports are presented for multiple years on our town website under other information. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have made my presentation on the abstracts and the summary of the abstracts, and I asked you to accept the work presented.
Need a
I'll
motion?
make a motion.
Public information.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? I just have one, I just want to say one thing. On February 3rd, we called up the state controller's office, telling them of the inaccuracies in the books of the store. They noted that, those inaccuracies, and what they said to us, basically, go voucher by voucher in 2023, 2023, and see exactly what's being done.
You can look at any one.
Jim is doing that right now, that aspect of it. What they said also, once we have completed that, they would like an independent audit on it. And look at that, and then send it up to the state controller, who will then, if need be, do a forensic audit to see exactly what was taking place and all that. So we're at that point where we are now 6 months away, into 2024. We have not yet completed the annual financial review of 2023. We're still working on that. Now, like every time, every day we get another bill coming in that's past due.
I mean, Mike, I have right here about here, it says for peak engineering for services at 38 Spencer Road on a project from 6/23 of 22. That's paying right now. Painful for a town to pay.
Well,
I would also suggest that if you have some time, the Office of the New York State Controller has a page on audits of local governments. I have provided Tracy 2 of those related to audits of the town clerk's office so that she is aware of the focus of the state auditors when they come in. And most of the issues that we talk about on correcting all originate from these other audit programs that are out there where simple internal controls are not being followed and being disregarded. And there are issues of defalcations that are being uncovered by the state controller's office during these audits.
Thank you, Benjamin.
one last thing also. When we took office in January, we looked at the financials, monthly financials of 2023, and there were only 3 of them were posted. January, February, March were posted. The others were not posted at all. We called up RBT, looked at Wadi Falzana, and we started getting this. We started reviewing all the emails, and we found April, May, June, July financial statements at that point. So that they're going to be posted also going through. And then at the end of what has happened is there was an email from RBT saying that one budget line was negative. And according to the law, you can't have a negative budget line. You have to reconcile that. And the next day, RBT is fine. You know, so we are working on that. We are now engaging RBT to come back and finish up the 2023 and get the AFR. We're 3 months late on the AFR. We have got an extension for 1 month, and we are now in the process of asking another extension. We will have hopefully a completed AFR very shortly and come through and we post it online.
So what's an AFR?
Annual financial review. This is something that every municipality has to do every year. It is due by March 31st of the following year. Going through it. So we are in the process. We're still working on that. We're engaging RBT to help and to get those forms in and so forth. So all I'm asking everybody here is just be patient. You know, what we're doing right now, what Jim's doing right now, this is all done by hand. You know, this is, there's no program that is being done. The program that we have is outdated. And the, company that we use, RBT, they don't have it anymore.
The program is not outdated. It was purchased in 2023 for almost $26,000 plus a $3,000 maintenance. It doesn't function. It's not, it's not I mean, Tim went to the Association of Towns meeting and everybody there said, don't buy that program.
The state comptroller's office can't issue an opinion as to what software to use, but those in the gallery, I went to some of the financial meetings, were like, do not buy Williamson Law Book. So.
We have the wrong program. I mean, it doesn't function for Wendy, and whatever it is that they come up with, I'm sure will be far superior.
Yes, we have the vote. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you again, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Okay, that group will now go to the public comment period. You have the, mind you also, 2 minutes, please.
And the microphone's over there.
Thanks for the opportunity to speak. I already heard the sentiment that Jim mentioned, peak engineering. In my humble view, the role of government is to protect the citizens and to be financially prudent. We all heard about the financial difficulties our town has had. And the bill that's being referred to, $635, because an engineering company was hired to tear and jam my property. I live in the bottom of a hill. There are 2 trenches. The upper mountains are combined. And the reason that it's unclear to me, a pipe was placed at some point undispensated directly to my house. My house is crisscrossed by French drains. 3 weeks ago, I put a new trench on my property. The reality is, this entire system is overwhelmed by tens of thousands of gallons of water every time it rains. So if we're gonna hire peak engineering, basically a triple recommendation, how to fix this, move the pipe 40 yards down further, or let the water go in its natural direction and not head it all to me. And if we're gonna pay them and they're the so-called experts, I have no clue why we don't follow their advice. They came up with a simple, cost-effective solution to my personal problem. And I just wanted to make the town aware of this. I have met with Michael, who's a gentleman. The highway patrol, the highway superintendent is here. I hope they can fix this and perhaps listen to what people suggest.
Your name and your address.
I have it.
My name is, Dr. Steve Truckman, 38 Spencer Road, in Glenford. It's on the yellow path.
I have to respond to that, Steve. And, the reason I'm responding to that, because that bill you saw, the 685, they came to the property, they looked at the property, conclusion was that this is your problem, it's not the town's problem.
That's not the
That's what Nadine, hold on a second. That's what Nadine, that said to me. She said that by moving the culvert, it would only affect 25% of the flow.
You've seen the videos. The water comes flowing down that mountain.
Steven, you saw that.
You can't deny that tens of thousands of gallons of water are down in my property, put there by a pipe from the town. It's so easy to fix. Move the pipes. My foundation and house don't have to be jammed. And you can back it up all you want to be. I was there with Pete. You were there. Michael was there with Pete. And he made a recommendation. Look it down 40 yards. Simple solution.
I just like to say the only recommendation that was made at the October 25th meeting was that the councilman that was there was gonna take it back to the board and the town attorney to make, suggestion. That's the only recommendation they made, and that was never done.
Who's the next one you have there?
Lynn Valley?
Yeah.
Lou Daly, 46 Walton Lane. I'm not gonna be here to the end, so I won't get to actually comment specifically on the recycling store at the transfer station presentation. But I'd just like to say I'm warmly opposed to reselling recycled stuff. Lots of places have a free store or they use free cycle. People are paying to drop the stuff off. If it's useful, then let's see that it gets donated or given to people appropriately. Thanks.
Who's next?
Peter McKnight.
Good evening. I wanted to share a cautionary tale. I know many of us drive from Route 28 down Route 209 to Town Hall. And when you look up to your right, you see some pretty big eyesores up on the ridge. And people come to me and say, why isn't Hurley doing anything about this? And I say, that's not Hurley, that's the town of Ulster. When you get to town Hurley line, it's a whole lot better because we have good regulations. So I know you're going to talk about mutual assessment tonight, and some people are concerned about the process for a visual assessment. And I would ask that there's some patience. We're working on the planning board, working on creating processes to make it easier for the public, but let's not throw out the baby with that water. Thank you.
Peter Stout?
Stocked, actually.
Stott.
Okay. So thank you.
Need your address.
It's 42 Simmons Street, Saugerties, but we're building at 108 Field Beat in Hurley, which is what fixes. Did you have any questions for me, or did you just want me to?
Yeah, well, you have an issue.
Sure.
That you're talking to me about.
Yeah, so we had gone to the planning board, or I guess we went to the building department, who then referred us to the planning board, right, for visual assessment. And we've had a bit of a delay on our end. We feel a lot of that is due to the planning board. The first thing that happened was it was insisted that we produce all this information to be put on the agenda, which we did. But I don't think we actually had to produce it beforehand. We may have been requested to produce it after, but I don't think that should have kept us off the agenda. It was insisted that we combine the site plan from the engineer for the septic with the survey. The site plan for the engineer for the septic didn't show the entire parcel, showed just the focused area. We did pay $1,650 to our surveyor to incorporate that. And when we met with the planning board, they never looked at that. They only looked at the one that we were told we had to replace. And so that was disappointing. The planning board for the visual impact review insisted that we produce a copy of the demolition permit from the old house that was on the property and to produce the DEC permit that's to repair the stream crossing to get to the property. We did produce both, but I'm not sure what they have to do with visual assessment. Because it didn't fall into the guidelines, and we felt like there could have been a conditional approval on the color, assuming that it comes in with a muted color that fits the range that they're looking for. We were not offered that. They also insisted on a cross-section view of the house from Hurley Mountain Road, which is not possible. We're half a mile off of Hurley Mountain Road. So we did provide pictures, but it's not going to be a cross-section. I'm hoping that's not under a hurdle. The rest of the stuff I think was reasonable. Had they done a conditional approval at the meeting last month, that would have gotten off of the agenda for July, or for June, sorry, which would have saved us time. Oh, actually, that's another one that got under my skin a little bit. We were told, don't worry, it's only a month. You're young yet. And didn't appreciate being told that my time was not valuable. So so that the time is coming up in the end of June. Hopefully we'll get that done then, but whoever else is waiting for our issue to be discussed by the planning board, they're going to be delayed by us. So it's more time for us, more time for the planning board, and more time for the next guys after us. And that's where we stand.
Any other, anybody else wish to speak? I'll make a motion to close public comment hearing.
Second.
Seconded by Greg. Aye. Any discussion further? Aye. All in favor of closing the public comment hearing? Aye. Any opposed? So be it, public comment is closed. What we're gonna do here or next is, this is gonna be the student development, the consent form. Want to take it?
You want to give him the
Yeah,
mic?
Dennis Larry is here also.
Yeah, Dennis is over there.
Yeah, I see.
I know the attorney from, Cedar was looking to get here, so if you want to maybe show other.
Okay.
we'll discuss it.
We have Dennis, here, but you turn to see this because supposed to be here also. Is he here?
No.
No. All right, so we'll postpone that a bit. Next thing is,
Okay.
yes, right.
What do you want to do this?
Then you come next. This, on the back of this page, we have the back agenda. There's a map. What do you show it?
Hi, neighbors. Hi, board. My name is Mel Sadownik. I live with my wife Ingrid, corner of Stone Road and Route 28A. Like other folks who are living along 28A, we depend upon the intersection at Basin Road and 28 for access to come and go. It's really the only reasonable way to get in and out of our property and out into the wider world. Now, Basin, often coming down Basin Road, there's a line of cars. If there's been a traffic accident, which is quite a bit on 28 at that intersection, and the cars are lined up, and Basin Road is so thin, it's only 10 feet wide with barely any shoulder. In fact, when we get near 28, there's no shoulder at all. So what happens when there's an accident, or even when someone has a flat tire on Basin Road, the police have to come and have everyone, all the traffic turn around because there's no way to get around it. Which is, sometimes pretty bad. There were 2 days that I was going to go to the rail trail, and it turns out no one could get through the Basin Road intersection. To my surprise, I was reading 831 one day at Bistro, and I see that there's a proposal to build another gas station and a convenience store exactly at that intersection, where there is like zero room. So as I'm sitting there having my lunch, I'm thinking there's a brick building there which would need to be demolished and have, major vehicles come demolish it, that they would be needing to excavate and have bulldozers come and build underground tanks for the gas. And there's not room for a single car, no less a massive amount of trucks. So it would be a building project that would go over years. And for me and other folks up and down 28A, of which there are many, many folks, often our access would be way slower, and there would be many times that we would have no access at all as these major vehicles were in the way. So, so there is a way to stop this project, which will allow the residents of 28 to continue having access. It turns out that the project is under the control of the Woodstock Planning Board because it's due to the strange variability of the map making in Ulster County, even though Hurley folks will be mostly impacted, it's officially in the town of Woodstock. So initially it was like, oh, do we have any say-so over the town, what the town of Woodstock does? So I found within the laws, the New York State local governmental authority issued a statement saying that if there's an adverse impact on an adjoining town, that adverse impact is as important as if it was in the host town. So we have every right to protest the impact that project would have on Hurley. So the access and the coming and going is a major problem. And the other major problem is the traffic hazards that this gas station would create. So here,
Just,
wow. So here you have a situation, situation A, when the traffic light on 28A is starting to turn red. So the traffic on Basin Road is getting a green and could go here. The traffic on Xena Road is also getting simultaneous green light, and they can go here. And which, I mean, that happens all the time, and it's always a little tricky. You never know which lane the other one's going to go into. But now we have a third complicating factor that there will be cars emerging from the new gas station. So potentially all three cars at the simultaneous moment are heading for the same lane of traffic. So I think this is a real traffic hazard, and most of the people who are coming and going from Basin Road are Hurley and West Hurley residents. And there's even a fourth dangerous possibility, which I know that the traffic coming down on 28 will sometimes be seeing a green turning to yellow on the edge of turning to red. And a lot of people, I know, me included, I know I was riding with my wife the other day, as the light is turning red, yellow, the people who want to keep going and don't want to have to stop often accelerate. I do that myself. So we have a fourth factor. Not only do we have a car from another place coming, which does happen, but it's a car that will be in acceleration mode and not expecting someone coming out of vehicle fuel. So, so between the access and the traffic danger, I feel like if Hurley asks for input, I think we can well stop this project and protect the citizens, residents, and motorists of Hurley. Thank you.
Let me just tell you something. I got a letter from the Woodstock Planning Board saying the fact that we being a contiguous town, we have a right to comment about it.
I'm so glad they responded to it.
That's great. They responded to you. They knew that you
Have you been? Have you been to the Woodstock Planning?
I have been to the administrator and spoke with the administrator.
Okay. I would suggest.
I've looked at all the records.
To the planning board.
I'm in close contact with them.
Okay. And then also making a comment. Excuse me?
not you, Tim. I was
Well,
trying
no,
to, the side chatter.
Yeah. So I would suggest also writing a letter to the state highway. Okay.
Yes, I've been talking to the new permit person at DOT, and I started talking to him too.
Okay, and also send it.
In fact, I
Also,
sent
let it to the
this map.
top or board.
I sent this map to the brand new permit person, Michael Kinney at DOT, but thanks for the suggestions.
Right, yeah. Also
Yeah.
send it to the, like, the
Oh,
top.
to the top,
Yeah,
okay,
yes.
great,
Yeah.
great, appreciate
The
it.
more noise you make about this, the better, because, you know, we can make a comment, but I don't know that we can stop it. I see what you're saying.
Maggie in the planning department gave me really good language of a resolution that the town board could take about staying informed and being part of the process. So I plan to, with Maggie's help, make that resolution, and hopefully next month the board should pass it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see a site plan for this thing. It's a very tiny little parcel.
Oh, you're familiar, isn't it? It's hard to
Yeah,
imagine that the thing
Familiar
is
with
like
most
putting
of
it.
the town, so yeah. Yeah, it's, I mean, like that gas station was made for like Model Ts to pull in, you know?
Mhm.
People in big suburbans, it's kind of questionable, so. Anyway, all right.
No, I will notify you when you get notified when it is.
Great.
Right, just for whatever. Mel did bring me other stuff that, I mean, they're planning on doing the gas tanks to fill the tanks, parking them on Basin Road. So there is a lot of stuff that's going to be happening with it in Hurley. And so I just tried to give
One other thing
Mel
also, is that
tools.
site thing I know, where that big arrow is making a right-hand turn, there's also gonna be an entrance right there. Yeah, an entrance, yes, on that side, right there.
Oh, yeah, that, okay, got it.
And isn't this that old gas station that could be developed, correct? Or is this vacant? The farm stand, okay, okay. So there is that too.
Thank you. Thank you, Al.
Thank you.
Thank you much.
Next one is, presentation, Daniel Perez, recycling store at the transfer station. We call it recycling store, but it doesn't mean that's what it is. One of them.
Yeah, Dan, go on up to the mic so people can hear you. The recording will hear you.
I did write an email to the council this morning. Is it okay if I read it?
Of course.
So, good afternoon, council. Understand the town's implementation of no metal taken, because the town gets money for the metal through our vendor, Westminster Metal Recycling. But as the transfer station gets more items, people see it and they want to take it. For example, the other day, a father and his son asked if they could take a lawnmower to teach his son how to fix it up. And I felt terrible denying them, denying them generational knowledge and a family bond with that. So I think we're in favor of setting up the shop. Otherwise, these good items will be scrapped, And so we started to sort a lot of metal items and that we think that if we repurpose, reuse, and recycle, and are setting up a small shop with a growing list of customers that want to buy the items. I don't know the regulations of the shop, but knowing the type of items that come in and the final destination, if no one takes it, combined with the necessity of the people that come in, all I ask is please keep the prices affordable for people.
I have a question there too, man. What's the legality of us opening up a reuse store? Reselling whatever they go to the recycling center. Either way, but I also I'm on the Ulster County Resource Oversight Committee, and county is doing a reuse store also. So I don't know.
And I do want to make it clear that this is just the metal items. All the other stuff like books, some furniture, mattresses, stuff that cost the town money to get rid of, that we set aside and kind of give it a chance for the customers.
For free.
Yeah.
So we just started for the cost, but we would get a recycle the metal.
Labor stuff, yeah.
Whatever the wholesale.
Whatever we were gonna make is what we need to get. So we don't make anything more.
We don't make money on this, obviously, but if we actually sent this to the recycling metal place, we have to pay that instead, so they can,
No, they
pay us.
Yeah, they pay us.
So what I'm saying is the wholesale rate that we get from them, they just charge that. That's the rate. And then, my only questions would be somebody brings something intending it for it to be disposed of, right? And then it doesn't become disposed of. Is there any is there any privacy or legality there with their stuff?
What I know of is with trash. Once you put trash into a barrel and put it on the side of the road, that's not towards an open pit. Not towards some. If they bring it there, if they say they want this to be.
Well, the only other thing that I'm gonna say is just that, making sure that we have some sort of that we're not liable for anything that happens with, a snowblower flying apart, killing somebody. I just don't want to see that happen either, so there needs to be some sort of a waiver maybe that's made up that says I release the town of Hurley of all liability for my purchase.
I do want to tell you that customers are handy and they can to fix some stuff, so.
I understand that, if something tragic were to happen.
Yeah.
With something that was intended to be junk, I just want to make sure the town is, not on the hook for some sort of legal liability.
You could disclaim.
Yeah.
You want to shoot the questions further and then,
Yeah,
come
John
back
Ferry
and
wants to
come
say
back to the next, next board.
So my only concern would be the currency use and how you're going to record the transactions of, the currency coming in. I just, we've already just removed cash. So these are situations I want you to think about first, so that you're not getting back into a situation where the, comptroller is looking at us as a red flag, and it becomes another situation of potential theft or something.
We'll talk about that. We'll get that going.
Okay, so the only other thing I would question is, and I'm not disagreeing with the using the weight as a measure, but you might want to just, Daniel, you guys are cleaning some stuff up, or you're just moving it, into the area?
We're cleaning it up, setting it up, but you're right, we're
So whether it's
encountering
like a-
storage problem.
Like a $5, like something minimal, just because we're touching it as opposed to them throwing it just into the bin that just gets hauled away.
Unless we're hiring an additional employee up there and it's just getting everybody to be a little bit busier, I really don't see why we don't just recover the same cost that we're doing from, like a recycler, and we save, the environment by not burning diesel all of it.
All right. So we'll discuss this and then we'll, come back and, have the meeting. And come up with everything.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, David.
Just to let people know that the June town board meeting is moved to Wednesday, June 26th. Reconvening is Tuesday, June 25th, it's primary day. And, town hall has to be a polling place. So we're gonna go that Wednesday, day after. Amendment to Secretary of Planning Board job description. Okay, and, resolution to amend job description for Planning Board Secretary, whereas the organizational meeting outlined Secretary of the Planning Board, Civil Service, 5830, exempt, be paid by the hourly rate of $17 per hour for 17 hours per work, which is 884 hours annually, from the fund of A80 20.1. Therefore be dissolved by the town board of the town of Berwick to amend the Secretary of the Planning Board job description to be at 17 hours per week for the organizational meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
So is this going to,
Yes,
what's his recommendation?
this is what he said. Michael Richardson, by the way, is a labor consultant. Any other further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. All right, town employee resignation, it came to my, letter came to me today, that Aaron Stewart, building secretary and municipal aide is resigning, giving our 2 weeks notice. We have notified, Norman Staffing to send a temporary worker to come in and work with her a little bit to get the process. We have also, posting the position on it, and we are going through the civil service, list. I'll pick someone up.
I have a question. We changed her to the, building aid
Yeah.
when, in January after.
Yes.
But you really only need a clerk.
Right.
So we're gonna change that back.
Yes,
We just use that because we already had some experience.
Right.
But we really just need a clerk.
we need a clerk.
Okay.
So that's what we're gonna be hiring.
Okay.
Okay, the next two resolutions, we passed this resolution last, meeting, and the things over these two resolutions, they both deal with where the budget line comes from. When it was passed before, it was done under the buildings, alignment, under the general fund. We have switched it over to miscellaneous under the highway fund. So I'll just read quickly.
Mike, point of order here.
Go ahead.
Is there a way that, we read these resolutions, like, all into the, I heard Tracy mention that there's a way that you don't have to read through each line by line of these resolutions. Is that true, Tracy? Yeah.
Legally, you're required that you have to review it only so
Okay, okay.
you know, ahead of time, and if there's any amendments that you make a record of.
Oh, right. So there's an, all right, well, this was posted on Friday, on forward, so, all this basically, we're just gonna put it under a different line, break it out. It was approved at the last board meeting. All right, is there a
Is
motion?
this the right one?
I move to approve the resolution to authorize the highway superintendent to schedule repairs to the diesel fuel tank.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I got one question. Are you gonna fund that line? That line will go over.
We will,
So
we will have that, yes.
would that be included in the resolution to transfer that money now or?
Well, no, not in the for now. When the line goes down to zero, we reconcile it. All right, we still have something like $8,000 left in that line. That's a $10,000 budget line for miscellaneous fund. And we're just taking these two things out.
Where are we at? I think most of that money is gone already.
We haven't, so far, I'm looking at the budget, it hasn't been touched. Unless you have.
Every single time we run into these problems.
Well, we get it, we just, I'm saying, we just gotta see what's going on. We'll have that done.
That's very good. That's very nice.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, regardless of the procedural issue, which is important, we need to do this.
Oh, yeah, well, that's not
Definitely, we are, yeah,
Operationally, this is important.
we will try having, the balance of each budget line, where things that before you.
So we get.
When it's all completed. Get back on.
Yeah, you want to.
The only reason I asked last year, a lot of legal expenses were put underneath my superintendent account. I put it 8,000 or 10,000 over, made it look like I'm, you know,
I know.
not doing my job. Those are never even out there, but I submitted.
I know. We're gonna, yeah, we sat down and talked about this before, that we will, find a strike gap on it. We're diminish that. Okay, all right, any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? So be it.
And this next one, Mike, this is another one where
Same
we're
one.
doing the same kind of thing.
Yes.
Changing the budget line.
This is the same one, just changing the budget line for the, digital radio. Going through, moving it from the buildings count to, miscellaneous highway fund. Is there a motion? Carried so moved. All right, seconded.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so be it. John, you want to talk about this thing? What we are.
Sure. So, the last piece of the puzzle in reference to our pilot program for the rec, for the town to scholarship 5 lucky individuals to go to the Hurley Rec Association for summer camp for the summer, is this application process. The application will be, as long as approved tonight, will be presented ASAP tomorrow, over the next couple of weeks, so that we can process and start looking at potential applicants to move forward. Obviously, in a couple of weeks, the school will be closed and summer camp will be open, so time is kind of the essence. And moving forward, a lot of this terminology came from the city of Kingston. I want to give them kudos. They were very helpful in providing this information for us to draft this. So if there's any questions, I'd be glad to.
You know the age limit on this one?
So that's for the, well, you know what? I'll have to get that from the Hurley Rec. That'll go on the website tomorrow before Jeremy posts everything. There'll be a deadline, and one of the biggest things for us, especially being that this is it's grant monies now, but potentially could be more of a tax reserve situation. I really believe that the attendance of the children going should be, pretty put out there, so that, for future awarding of this types of things, I just want to make sure that you'll see that also in the posting. I'm not saying it to be rude. I'm just saying it because I think it's important moving forward. Other than that, but yes, I'll have all that information, because once we approve this tonight, I'll present, which they've already seen it. The Hurley Rec has already seen it, and then everything will go from a link from us to them. So then once we approve those 5, they'll then have to go on their link to, fill out the application. And I'll get all that information.
Something to consider maybe for the next years. Maybe they should take something towards it, because usually people have some kind of payment that they've done, but they're not as likely to
Right.
not send somebody, you know what I mean?
Right. So I think the concept was, and this is, we're speaking with Mike and, with the Hurley Rec, and I'm hoping Zena and or, Camp Siwacamano, that we would try to fund at least 5 kids in both locations, and then offset costs for another 15. So we're having roughly 40 kids. In the past, town of Hurley used to have a camp that was half day, a couple days a week. And then we also during the process, when that was dissolved, the town of Ulster gave all of our residents the ability to go to their full day camp for the costs of the town of Ulster prices. So even during those processes, roughly about 30 to 40 kids signed up for those. And that's where I came up with that number. Hopefully we can accommodate about 20 to 30 more with offsetting some of those costs.
John, I know not for this year, but in the future, maybe also we can put in on some of those reduced, the reduced.
You can offset us.
The offset
Yeah.
funds, that they can offset a little more by attending
We
like
can
a
determine that.
family volunteer, like both of those Hurley Rec and Siwacamano have family
Absolutely.
volunteer days.
Absolutely.
And if you go to that, we'll knock another,
Right.
Yep.
I think that as far as the pilot goes, just to
$150,
see, even if we have any interests, to see what best process it is to get this information out to the public. This is kind of where I'm trying to figure this out. And moving forward, we can definitely adjust those, and any of the ideas you guys have, we can, potentially.
because I know they struggle to get volunteers, so this might be a good way to help. drive
Absolutely.
them.
Yep. They're 100% correct. And the volunteering goes all seasons. So it's a great opportunity for them to offset the cost that way too.
Thank you, Dr.
Sure.
It's very important for
Yeah,
people to have something for children to do this summer.
Yeah, I mean, Hurley hasn't done much in a long time, so this is something we can at least start moving forward with.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah.
John, just for your information, the age for the campers is 5 to 14.
5 to 14. Thank you.
So we should put down the, application also.
Yeah, it'll be, you want it on the, okay. Yep. 5 to 14, you said.
We want 17 was fine.
Are you gonna take any alternates, just in case somebody doesn't make it through the?
Well, let's see if we get 5. So, yeah.
This application, this was a resolution that was passed at the last board meeting, where we're gonna, sponsor 5 children in the town of Hurley. So the Hurley Rec, where we would pay for. The town pays for the grant.
John, I was selected to be no selection criteria besides just the order of the queue.
I'm almost kind of to the point of it's like first come, first serve. I mean, I'll date it based on email. It'll be dated. There'll be no based.
Other
And
than
there's
the
that,
income.
other than the income and, yes.
As long as they
I mean, I might have one
qualify.
family that has 5 kids and they're the first ones to get it. Here you go. I mean, I hate to say it, that could be a possibility. I hate to say it, but it's, need to say it.
Okay, thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Okay, next one is the architecture review board appointments. This is short, I can read it real quick. All right, resolution to appoint architecture review board members. Whereas the purpose of an architectural review board, ARB, is to maintain the historical character and culture of the town of Hurley, primarily in the overlay district regarding new commercial projects, and whereas the ARB currently has only 1 member, therefore be resolved by the town board of the town of Hurley to approve the appointment of Chris Zell and John Perry to a 3-year term. Is there a second?
I second.
Is there discussion?
Who's Chris Zell?
Surveyor.
Oh, you know, Barbara Zell? She's on the town board.
Yeah, I know Barbara Zell.
Her son.
No, Chris, sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
And
He's a surveyor.
Right,
When
he
you're in my
works for.
Guarneri Larios. And his name is spelled wrong, if anybody cares. It's not, there's no E on it. He's been on, but Tracy, if you want for the official.
And his name is spelled.
Yeah, I just said
DELL, right?
ZELL. There's no E on the end.
Is there any conflict with him being, an employee of the town engineer and on the ARB?
If there were some direct, project that, they would be providing a recommendation to you guys on and his firm was working on, he would he would definitely have to, recuse himself from participating in the recommendation. But again, this board is a board that does not take any actions in and of itself. They just provide, recommendations, advice.
And not only that, though, we have John Perry, deputy town supervisor, director.
But he's just a surveyor.
How do you get so
I
many?
know. Any further
There's
discussion?
no lights.
So the only thing the overlay district, which is referring to the 28 overlay district. My only thing would be if the planning board and or town board, for whatever reason, would like to have the architecture review, give some type of, assessment or whatever to any commercial property in the town of Hurley. I mean, I don't know if you want to add that language, but I have no problems with this, and we can always amend it later but moving forward, if there's a situation where there's a commercial property that you would like to have, some sort of historical or cultural aspects looked at through this board, you might want to add that verbiage. But specifically the overlay, 100%. But I don't know, that's up to you guys.
Primarily.
Right, primarily. It says primarily. Doesn't it?
Okay. That's fine.
The board and
It never was, it was never sent to the state
And
to basically make it legal for to enact.
it's not in the code.
Right.
It wasn't followed through.
Right. So basically we're starting over with the error bid.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So be it. Don, you want to do the BMS, county planner? Just.
Oh, because,
he's not here, but I know we'll probably have discussion with,
All right.
Dennis, as well as just, I can provide an overview.
Okay.
And,
So like, going back. to the-
Going back, okay.
yeah, we'll do the one more.
One more?
Okay.
This is the,
Sure, Sean, I apologize. That's right, Deb's not here this evening. So Deb Doherty has been working her tail off, along with the EMS, work group that we put together. We finally got, some feedback from the, Hannigan Law Firm in reference to them representing us to start and initiate, the action of providing the town of Hurley with a, potential ambulance district, which might be a special tax district. It might be just, the incorporation of other municipalities. Again, we're at the basis of this. So what this contract does, it allows us to hire them, which we put 25,000. I believe you all put 25,000 aside, to do so in order to retain. They are not looking for a retainer. They are looking for, to only bill by the hour. And I think that's great initially, because as of right now, we don't have that much of a scope of work for them to really put their teeth into, so to speak. So if you review this, you'll see right there the hourly rates. And roughly, if you continue to read through this, they feel roughly about $15,000 would be, there it is, needed to potentially, deal with this matter and get the town in a situation where we can potentially put it forward in front of the public to
And these were ARPA funds, right?
excuse me.
And these were just funds from the ARPA funds?
So the 25,000 you all put into place was from the ARPA fund. So this would be coming out of that. So this is not out of the 2024 budget, which would still leave roughly about 130,000
135,000.
in the ARPA funds.
Well, and John suggested also we, set up another capital H fund for the EMS.
Yeah.
That just solely for that purpose, more or less.
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
Who made the motion?
I don't think anybody did. Oh.
Diane, a second. Yep. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the next one here, this is family leave deduction correction at ADP. I'm gonna turn that over to, Wendy. All right, because you're the one that's on board about that.
Okay, so basically review between, Jim Quigley and myself, we discovered that all new hires that were onboarded after August of 2023 were charged a percentage for family leave program. And they, off the top of my head, can you scroll a little bit, Maggie? I don't know what we put on the. It depends on your salary, but basically based on your salary, it could be anywhere from $2 to $120. It's a percentage of your salary, and basically the way it works is each time you get paid, we deducted a certain formula that ADP actually put into the system. And we noticed that people were having money withheld, and they shouldn't be. Government employees do not have to pay Family Leave Act. And therefore, we brought it to the attention of the board, and we've now changed the policy. So anyone who is now onboarded through ADP will not have that money deducted. And we are going to work to refund the employees, which obviously we kept their names confidential, but
Bless you.
we do have them, God bless you. And we are working to refund that money back to the employees in a voucher. And basically that's it. You guys just have to review it. And if you decide to take action, then we will process the vouchers to reimburse the employees over the next couple of weeks.
Is there a resolution?
Actually, we'll have.
Not yet, I believe. Yeah, they're going to bring it up the next.
Thanks, Wendy.
You're welcome.
Wendy, just one question
Yes.
about the family leave act.
Yes.
But you said that the town is not.
It's not just the town in general, it's government employees. They don't have to provide it to the employees. And the reason for that is most government employees are, and definitely at the town of Hurley, receive benefits. So accruals, sick time, personal time, vacation time, and that can be used for that sort of situation. The other thing that we discovered was this money has been withheld in the past and never paid out to anything. So it's just sitting at the town of Hurley. I mean, if the board chose to, they could select to have a situation where we had money deducted out of the employee's payroll and put aside for the Family Leave Act, but there's really no reason, because again, the town employees receive part-time and full-time receive accruals, so they can use that.
Well, and they're still eligible for, we just
Correct.
don't charge them.
Absolutely
They don't have
correct,
to
yes.
pay it, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
They're still eligible for the 12 weeks and all. of
Correct.
yeah,
that. They're still,
that's important.
FMLA is still. applies.
Yes, yeah, they're absolutely
Right.
eligible to take the time off. It's just that we are not withholding a percentage of their gross
Right.
salary out so that they then can take that money in lieu of losing time.
And I think my query was in relation to why you said family leave act.
Right.
That,
Right, that is the essential coding of the way that ADP codes it. Yeah. And the
I
problem
don't-
is.
I don't know that that's legal even at a private employer. I think the employer that's been imposed by law upon all employers, there's no pools of money.
Exactly.
So I don't know where ADP came up with it, but
Yeah, it's set up on their template, and unfortunately, when we switched over from RBT to in-house payroll, it wasn't caught. And after review, we caught it, so like I said, it's since been stopped. Last payroll, which would have been, I think, the third, there was no money deducted, and moving forward, we won't deduct the money. Now we just have to work to process it back to the employees.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, so we'll have a resolution at the next
Sounds good.
board meeting. Okay,
Do the time clock, so. Move to the time clock.
all right, Wendy, you'll do time clock also?
Sure. So working off my experience working at Ulster County as the payroll manager, I came into the town of Hurley and discovered that we have ADP, which is a private company doing our payroll. However, we only have time clocks set up at the transfer station and the highway department. now fully engulfed in the payroll, I'm noticing that there are some inconsistencies in the way that people do their time sheets. There's inconsistencies in time that's taken off. So it is my suggestion that the town move towards installing time clocks so that we can have a more efficient way to process payroll. However, that will piggyback on the fact that we need to get a new accounting system. And on top of that, we probably will move away from ADP and hopefully move forward with an accounting system that has a payroll aspect to it. And then we can move forward with time clocks. I don't have a timeline because we do not feel it's important. We feel it's right now, we are not switching away from ADP in the middle of the year. So this will probably be something we start to look forward to at the end of 2024. But time clocks just, you know, they make things flow better. There's no reason to judge anybody's time. Everything is right there in your face. You know when somebody punched in, especially if they use a fingerprint. And there's accountability for when people are working and when they're not. Obviously, there's different things that you can do to change them. We do have some employees that work from home on a part-time basis. We do have some people who answer the phone at all times of hours. So there's definitely things we can do. But for the most part, I would just like to see accountability for the people that work at the town hall, so that I'm not running around trying to figure out their hours at the last minute.
Yeah, I was gonna, I said to Mike in a conversation about this, just that, you know, that we look at this as the year rolls from 24 to 25.
Correct.
And then also that we go with a, you know, the payroll vendor, a tight integration with a time clock.
100%.
And then also we include the town hall, the highway, and the landfill.
Yeah. I think as we get further along in the accounting corrections, I think we'll have a better idea of what exactly we need. And we're going to have to interview a couple different companies. We're going to have to put an RFP out. I mean, it's a lot of work, but I think it's something that we definitely need to move forward with. You know, anybody who's ever done payroll will know that, you know, there's different ways to cheat the system. And one is by having paper timesheets. I'm sorry, but there's no accountability. If you have to physically show up to either punch in on your computer, you have to punch in at a time clock, it shows that you were there and you actually hopefully physically worked. And
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
what I'm looking to
there's
work for.
systems now where this runs off of either the employee's computer or
Correct.
off of a smartphone that can be geofenced where they need to be at the work site
Yes.
in order to clock in and out, or if the employee has the permission for working from home, when they're at home, that employee can be configured as such. So
Right.
that they can clock in and out. But they're making the entry, like it's not.
Exactly.
They're writing it down.
And there's reports that you can pull that say exactly, you know, what IP address they clocked in from, what time they clocked in. Right now, we just have no accountability. We have people working all times, you know, some people come in at 7 a.m., some people work till 8 p.m. at night. There's no accountability of when they were there and, you know, when they weren't.
The only other thing I would add to what Wendy's saying, listening to Wendy and being part of the environment, I think that there also has to, even before we get a time clock, I think that the board has to establish a very clear policy, because one of the things is that looking at a handwritten timesheet is very time consuming when you're calculating how much time somebody and whether somebody is accurately saying, you know, between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. was really 8 hours, because there are many errors. I think that there needs to be a policy about 15-minute increments or something. I mean, we can't have, you know, I showed up at 9:05 and I worked till, you know, 7:57 and having Wendy calculate to the minute. It should really be.
Well, once you get a time clock.
No, I'm suggesting that. I am just recommending on top of that, that happens before we get to the time clock. But that's Wendy's call.
Yeah, I mean, as an example, I sat and did payroll yesterday and today, and, you know, doing the highway payroll goes like this. Doing the transfer station payroll goes like this, because there are clear clock in, clock out. It's very simple. Trying to go through, you know, 30 timesheets that have all different times, and then you're chasing the people down to ask them, did you actually mean 9 o'clock? Did you actually mean, you know, 7 o'clock? It's just not, it's not time effective. It's really not.
Well, I mean, in reality, the department manager, the highway department manager, the transfer station manager, and somebody at town hall besides you really should be approving their department's payroll.
Correct,
Prior to.
Well,
but I'm
There
just,
is no
I'm just
department head.
suggesting that the board itself might want to look at a policy about hours.
One problem we have with ADP is when we get the payroll reports, we don't get the hourly rates on them.
So when you get a labor distribution report.
It's called a payroll register, yeah. It just shows, yeah, same thing. It just shows,
It doesn't show.
shows hours and
Financial.
gross salary.
It's
Correct.
not showing financial.
So-
We have an employee works out of class, instead of making 29.10, he's making 31.38. Doesn't show us hourly rate, and the pay comes in at $30 an hour.
Right.
So they got-
Yeah, you have to take the time to do the math, unfortunately. That is a negative of ADP, and that will definitely be an aspect that we're gonna look for moving forward.
Any further discussion? Okay. You want to see it?
Go ahead, one more thing on that. Go ahead, one more thing on that.
No, I know, but we have the county from Cedar there.
And Dennis has been here too. Hopefully get him out after any questions.
Well, he's part of the town.
I'll get to know them. All right.
I don't know that I have anything on this.
All right, so the next item on the agenda is, the town received on, May 2nd, a petition from the Cedar Development East LLC, requesting that, the town consent to the formation of a sewage or sewer works corporation, pursuant to New York Transportation Corporation's law. So basically, in essence, what they're asking for the town is the town to consent to allow them to have a private corporation that will handle the wastewater treatment system for the proposed condominium units at the Cedar development. So the town basically is limited in more or less what it can do. It has a certain time frame, 60 days, in which to answer and basically make a decision with regard to the petition. Some grounds in which the town would potentially deny their consent would be if the town was looking to operate this publicly with our own water treatment system, but that is not something that the town is entertaining. So the town, as what is required under the statute, the town has had our engineer review to see if the proposed system is adequate and sufficient to operate the proposed wastewater that will be coming from this condominium system. So we do have our engineer who has provided us with evaluation. And we do also have an attorney here from Cedar to answer any questions. Have members of the board looked at the proposed resolution? You guys have any questions for the engineer or for the attorney for Cedar?
You just got this resolution now.
Would you like me to read it in its entirety and then?
Yeah, I don't have a copy to bring up, so.
No, I wouldn't like you to read it in entirety, but I'd like you to give a synopsis of this.
All right. So again, the primary.
I have just a question, like, Matt, if we don't say yes to them doing it, this is something that then we would need to do, is that right?
Well, it's something that, as you are aware, the history between the town and Cedar is a history in which I believe there have been 5 previous lawsuits. We are statutorily required to respond within a certain period of time. It is my legal advice that we do respond. No one has brought anything to my attention that would justify us denying consent. That's something we can talk about in further detail. So that is why there is a drafted resolution, and I can go through it basically. As I said, the primary relief or what's being requested in the petition is this consent, which is necessary for the speedy permit process and for them to operate a wastewater treatment system. As part of that, there are certain things that the town does have statutory rights under the transportation law. One of which is to set the the basic, fees, the costs, per unit, for the operation of this. So that would be something that the town would decide as part of, this consent. Let me just go through. So basically what, the town would be, in the resolution, one, just reiterating that seeker, the impacts of seeker with this development, all these were previously addressed by the planning board. And just addressing that, and that there's no need for further seeker review. The town is consenting to the filing of the certificate of incorporation, and authorizing the town supervisor to execute a consent form, which is a form that they would have to file with the state with their certificate of incorporation with the state to form this company. And that it's authorizing the supervisor to execute the consent form simultaneously with an agreement between the town and Cedar addressing these several conditions. One, that Cedar post a performance bond for the completion of the construction and for the payment of labor material furnished during the course of such construction. That way to assure that if something comes up and for whatever reason it's not, that those costs are covered.
Has it never been reached?
And that's something that our engineer,
He's over here now, Matt.
yeah. Right. See Dennis. So why don't I go through this and then Dennis can talk about the technical details. Two, that Cedar pursuant to statute pays escrow the reasonable cost of our professional services, engineer, legal to maintain that are paid in furtherance of the establishment of this sewer works corporation, the construction of the sewer system. Under the statute, there will be subsequent reviews, inspections to make sure that everything is according to plan by our engineer as the construction continues to take place. A reasonable guarantee from Cedar that they will continue to operate the system for at least 5 years, requiring a bond in a reasonable amount as determined by our town engineer. There's a requirement under the statute that the stock of the sewage works corporation be placed in an escrow, so that title in the event that there's a failure to complete the construction or abandonment, discontinuance of the system, that title would pass to the town of Hurley, and then we would be responsible to having someone else operate, paying for someone else to operate or such, so it doesn't just go into disarray. Requiring that Cedar cover the cost, the operating cost for the system, and paying the proportion yearly cost of any of the condominium units which are not paying during those payment terms. So there will be a portion cost for each of the 46 units. When the place is built, each one will have their yearly apportioned costs. Any units that are not paying that cost, either that they weren't sold, Cedar will make sure that those costs are being paid.
This bond is based on a 5-year term.
It is based on a 5-year term. And Cedar in their petition has provided figures which have been reviewed by our engineer. And I guess I will turn it over to our engineer so that you can answer any of the questions and elaborate on some of
Yeah, I just I did send a letter out to supervisor and town board and to Matt yesterday. There were two things that I felt should be adjusted with respect to the application and the detailed plans of the wastewater treatment facility. Item one is I found that the location of the facility, albeit an underground treatment process, was too close to the property line of 4 residential properties on Cedar Street, 81 through 89 Cedar Street, and also too close to the proposed or building B on the site plan, which is the school building being renovated, the larger of the 2 buildings. So I'm recommending that be shifted beyond the DEC recommended separation distances, as far beyond as possible, just for odor issues that may arise. It's not a major, I don't think, change in construction or anything. It just, there's plenty of room for them to shift that north and away from building B and the 4 homes. And the other thing I found that I felt that their annual operating budget of $43,200 should be raised to $49,680 to cover utilities, the repairs that may not be covered by warranty, and chemicals, none of which appeared in the estimate they had from their operating contracts. So that was the 2 items I recommended as far as modifications to the package they submitted to the town. Their engineering report design was very solid. I would add, though, that their entire process design, besides the speedies permit, has to be approved by the engineering staff at Region 3 of the DEC as well. Well, the town has a piece of this. There's an agency that has actually a bigger piece of it. So as far as the wastewater treatment works.
Oh, question. So there are 2 clauses in this resolution that speak to amounts, user fees. So forgive my ignorance. Just how is this going to be calculated and how is it going to be addressed on a year-to-year basis?
And that's where the annual operating budget that was recommended is 49,680. That would in essence be divided by 46 is my understanding.
Well, plus they were adding a bond cost on that.
Okay, yeah, so you take that total.
So essentially, the number in their letter from Young Summer, I believe, would be, you would be increasing that by 15% based on my recommendation.
So you increase,
What is the amount?
yeah, so you increase the amount from their proposed to this 49,000.
The annual costs were $1,375 per unit per
Say
condominium. In their application, it was $1,375 a year per unit. And I would recommend that be bumped by 15%.
1581.
1.15 times. Yeah.
So, and is there a percentage increase on a yearly basis to that number? Because the residents are going to have to contend with this on a yearly basis.
In their calculation, they did do an inflationary.
So that's not a life then, so
Well, it is something that can come back, a resolution, come back to the board to determine. There's a whole process to
Power to
change.
set the rates over that private sewer
Approve
corporation.
to approve the rates, that's good. But this is over 5 years, right, then?
Yes.
Now, this is time constraint. We have to approve this resolution very shortly. We give it 60 days, I believe, right?
That is correct.
And they gave it to us on May 2nd. All right, so we're talking about the end of June. We have end of June, first week in July.
Well, I would say.
When did we receive the health notification from, did that really start the clock?
Well, they submitted all of that stuff to the DNC, which subsequently is authorized to basically the place of the State Department of Health and for.
We can do it at the 26th meeting.
Well, I think it's something that we should seriously consider and let's
Seriously,
consider voting on.
No, or on the 26th.
Potentially tonight, well, on the 26th, that would be.
Yeah,
So the very
We
last,
just put the letter from Valerio.
System just
Today,
designed for 46.
why don't, and, we had any other questions for him? I know the attorney is here from Cedar, so we can direct any questions towards them or also discuss some of the things that, the engineer brought up.
Dennis, how did you send that letter?
I emailed it to, the supervisor's office and to Matt.
It came to me. Okay, yeah, we didn't receive that.
I brought copies for everybody. Or for all the town board members.
Mike's got it. Mike's got it.
Now we can just pass them down. Oh.
Mike, I'll take it. I'll take it.
John wanted that, Matt, John.
Well, I think we should read this, talk about it, and then let us circulate some points.
But there's another letter that, well, there are two letters. Is that correct?
No, one letter.
I think, are you asking about the letter from Young Summer?
Yes.
I didn't get that.
That's the original one from May. I was just trying to see if it was on the drive.
But that's the attorney for the.
But he's,
Yeah, I
like,
know.
Greg is just not understanding that Dennis and your comments are relating to that. Letter or responding to that letter.
I could log
Any further discussion?
Yeah.
All right, so what?
Okay, then
This is,
Jim Bacon.
this is Attorney James Bacon.
Thank you, Mr. Miles. And good evening, members of the board. Sorry, I was a little late dealing with all the college trespassers. About 60 of them in the courtroom, so but we can care. Well, actually, they were they were all dismissed. That was what the
Judge in you.
so I have some things to hand out from Young Summer. They're really the attorneys that are handling this part of the process. So he asked me to copy of that. And I'd like, okay. And if I could, I'd like to get Rob Nashi on the line, and he could probably talk about some of the issues that Dennis brought up for the board. So
Jim, can you do it over by the mic? Otherwise this will pick it up. Or use that mic. That's fine. Anything.
So this is Rob Nashi. Okay. P-A-N-A-S-C-I.
You got all that.
He's one of the
Sure, I can stand it.
that specialize in coconut footwear.
Yeah, I do know who they directly with Darren Bird.
Rob, so this is, I'm in front of the town board now. I'm gonna put you onto the microphone so they can all hear you. Okay. And also, briefly, Dennis issued a letter last night, and I'll let him briefly, he's recommending a 15% increase to a figure of
What did they?
49,680.
So it takes the fee per month or per year, the annual fee up to like 1581 per unit.
So the proposed bond would then be approximately $303,384.95.
So the proposed bond would be a little over 303,000.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. It's it's like I was saying, as long as the annual amount is, increased by the bond, makes the bond amount go up, that's fair. So that's fine. What was the final number? 50,000?
Yeah, it went up like another 10,000 total.
Okay.
So, seven.
Yeah, so up to 51,000, about 55.
And then that brings the total per unit to 1581 per year.
Oh, 1581 per year, yeah, okay.
Instead of the, 1375.
That's fine, yeah, that makes sense.
A little over $200 increase per year per unit.
Sure.
So the residents are over a 5-year period, they're looking at like 131.77 a month more.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I appreciate that, because then we don't have to come back to you guys, for the town anytime soon.
Now, Rob, there's also a recommendation by, Mr. Larios that, the system be moved back a little bit further from the property line, beyond what the DEC would recommend. Is that right?
No, consistent with DEC's recommendations. The plan at least appears on your site plans to be too close to the property line as far as recommendations and the DEC standards for the design of intermediate size wastewater systems. They have a table B1 with recommendations, which are included in my letter. And it's a shifting of the proposed facility just further away from both building B and the properties at 81 through 89 Cedar Street, the rear property line. Supposed to be at least 150 feet away from the rear property line, 200 feet away from any structure as a minimum. And I found that the plant, which is well designed, in detail in the report, were very good. But I did find that as a problem that just needed to be shifted as far away from properties as property lines and buildings as possible, or as reasonable, but it's too close.
Rob, could you hear that?
Yeah, I guess, it's, when it comes to this, I think it's up to the DEC. If it's consistent with what the one part I didn't quite understand, Tim, though, is if it's consistent with what the DEC said, and the location of it, that's my only question is Dennis saying that the location that DEC has accepted is not an appropriate location?
I don't know that the DEC has accepted in detail your design. I know they've accepted your discharge and set limits on it. I don't know if they've completed a detailed review of your plans. When they do, I think they'll see the same thing I saw, which I believe is too close to, and it's not going to be a burden for you to shift it slightly away for both your building, B, and those 4 properties that abut.
I think it's going to benefit the residents of the development, right, as well as the abutters.
Yes.
Okay.
Plants, sometimes things go wrong and sometimes they emit odors. So the further away you can have it, and that's why the DEC has that standard.
So, we'll look at that, obviously, and,
But we were asked to do a technical review of your plans as well, and that's the only real significant comment I have, and that's really an impact on that you want to avoid, both of your own residents and any neighbors. So, unfortunately, here it's easily cured.
let's see, as long as we have them on the phone, is there any questions from anybody for, Mr. Panache?
I guess what is the plan here? Is he going to submit alternate design to Dennis's recommendations? Does that have to be done, or what's the?
We're doing the approval based on what they recommend.
Yeah, well, subject to shifting of the location. The design of the plan itself doesn't have to change, just how it's situated on the property.
Okay.
It just needs to be shifted.
Well, in other words, we can vote on it, knowing that that change is going to happen.
Well, if you voted on it, it's changed, but.
Subject to this.
Subject to that.
Yes.
Isn't being met.
That are in my letter.
And Rob, so as the board knows, these guys have been working on this since September to get everything in order. And so we really were hoping that we really felt that this was an application was complete for the purposes of giving your consent for this Transportation Corporation to be formed. So we really were hoping for any request that they could vote tonight That would be helpful to us. That's what we would prescribe.
And unfortunately, like we just received, I think this did, so I don't know, on a full review of that, or like,
I think you would want an amended resolution presented in full before you pass it.
I think the 26th is.
No.
Question.
So what exactly, do you have a specific recommendation or, like with regard to? Just distance. Okay, so 50 foot shift.
At least.
200 foot, which is.
It should be a minimum of 150 feet from any property line and 200 feet from any building. And it's not. In plan view. The plant design, I loved it. Just, I think, shift it north, get it away, a little further away from everybody.
I'm just looking. So basically, the consent is contingent on the execution of an agreement and put in wording, basically, accepting the modifications as recommended.
You
by-
want to 15%, first on fees, over the 5-year term, 46 units,
That
and
would
then
be-
you're gonna add the 50 yard, 50 feet radius. 150 to 200, based on the ability.
This, I mean, I would like the chance to review this so that we act in a due diligent manner for the residents of West Hurley. I think I think we need to be diligent here. We have the time. Time is what, let's not haste make waste, folks.
Yeah, as this
Let's not-
resolution.
Let's not rush into this. Let's make sure we fully review this.
So, no, I would, this has not been presented.
This is Rob, what sections
Make
are
the
you
amendment.
concerned about?
Present it to the
Remember,
public.
transportation corporation law is talking about the
This is the
formation
first
of
time
the
it's been presented to
corporation
the public.
and making sure that you have the adequate guarantees in place. Rich in my office will work with Dennis to make sure he's comfortable with the final, location, consistent with DEC guidelines. But
Sorry, excuse me.
just trying to make sure we understand what you think the issues may be.
So the issues are fundamentally that this board just received this resolution and all the information with it. And we are proposing now that we review, the full board reviews the information we've received so that we can vote on it on the 26th.
I would recommend that he bring this back to whomever he's got to, so that we're drafting a resolution that can be passed and can move forward from there. We can present this tonight, pass it, and then if he doesn't approve the 50 feet adjustments, and then you're back to nothing anyway.
Let's just do this the right way the first time. And twice, got once.
The main thing is that the public would not have had an opportunity to review this resolution.
Just one last thing.
Understood.
We're still within the 60 days.
Is that correct?
Yeah, it will be within, so basically, we received it on, May 2nd, and stamp is received by the.
So you're going to make the corrections. We're going to post it on the website.
So basically, right now, as written, it would be subject to the conditions and agreement of addressing the performance bond, the reasonable cost of professional services, guaranteed 5 years, the stock being held in escrow, and basically we would then add the conditions as recommended in the letter dated June 10th.
If we go and do this on the 26th, that's 55 days. I did 60. So we're still within that framework. No, and I think, let's get it correct. Let people look at it, so forth, and comment on it. We're not gonna say,
At the
no.
end of this, we're all gonna have to be neighbors, so.
So no, we're not gonna say no, perhaps, but the thing is, let everybody understand what's going through. Otherwise, by us passing it right now, these people might be very angry about it. Let's give them a chance to read it. so forth. It's not, you know, this is a consent. Either you do it or we do it. We don't want to do it.
Yeah, but just get it right, so we're probably consensual, exactly, the eyes are dotted and the T's are crossed. What that is subject to, what this is here, plus then information needs to be synthesized.
Is it 60 days? Is there an extension?
So Rob, they are, recommending that they're gonna put it over for the 26th,
Wednesday, the 26th.
for, final action, and give the, public a chance to review the resolution
And then amend the resolution.
amend the resolution to, recommendations from them.
Well, I mean, so one of the interesting things on this is that the public, the people that would actually have a problem with this would be the people that are purchasing the units. Because it's really restricted to the folks that are gonna be buying the units. We're talking about what they're gonna pay and an annual fee, so I don't know why the public needs to review the information. Or frankly, it has no real impact on the project, or the approvals of, I can say, the approval of a transportation corporation.
Rob, there's a 50-foot movement potentially at a minimum, right? That's been suggested by Dennis, that impacts the residents at 81 to 89 Cedar Street, which are the abutters.
Or something interesting to review for site plan, just strictly on the design and the criteria for approving transportation.
That Rich Armstrong? So that was a little unclear and we weren't sure who was speaking.
So that's, that was Rick Doctorow, the guy that's helping us with that. But I think the point is that a lot of the information was already completed as part of the seeker analysis and items that have been reviewed and gone through various court issues and other things like that. So you're just trying to nail down the so-called issues here to be reviewed under the Transportation Corporation Law. They're really limited in nature to ensuring you have the correct corporate guarantees, performance bonds, and whatever else you need to approve this.
Right, so Dennis had some suggestions as to that, we'd like to get the resolution amended as such. And then we also want guarantees as to the recommendations that Dennis has made here regarding the radial distance existing to downwind well.
That's not an issue for the Transportation Corporation. Look, it's okay to have these conversations, but that's not an issue for the approval of a Transportation Corporation.
Well, we have, like we said, we have 60 days to do the approval. And, the board here that's gonna become, we're sitting here with the residents of the town that are gonna become the neighbors of the properties. And we would like to wait until the 26th to make our approval. And that's what we're hearing from the board here.
They both worked on it. I think he's speaking of Rob. So Rob, we couldn't really hear Rich, so if you want to reiterate or relay what Rich said to you for the board, but it sounds like the board wants to wait until the 26th to make their final determination.
Yes, I mean, okay. I don't know that, that's, I suppose, up to you, quite frankly, Jim, being there, but I wanted to make sure that, the parameters of what we're seeking are understood. Any issues that may be, thought of regarding the DEC speedy permit are not items that are really up for discussion.
I don't think that's an issue. That's not the issue that that this board is wrestling with, Rob.
Yes.
Rob, that's not what we're dealing with. I mean, the legality seems to be quite clear, and our town council has made that clear to us. But there are other contingents, other issues that we need to contend with. And so that's what we're trying to do. And considering also that we have time to do this, we'd like the time to review the documentation, also to give the town folk, town people who are going to be affected by this, an opportunity to at least see what's going on.
And that's where we have a dispute, because
I can understand your concern. I understand it totally. I totally get that. Sorry.
No, it's all right. You know, the thing is, that you waited so long anyway. Waiting another, basically 11, waiting another 14 days, 15 days. You know, it's reasonable. You know, let's get this right.
In the lens of history, I would like the decisions to go down in the best way possible. This town has been around for 362 years. Waiting 2 more weeks to make a decision on this, I don't think it's gonna really kill anything.
And not only
No,
that,
I don't agree. I don't disagree at all. I agree with you. Waiting 2 weeks doesn't have an impact. I'm just suggesting the issues that need to be addressed are limited to what's in the transportation
No,
corporation.
I
That's
think,
all. Not that, yeah, I'm not suggesting
no, I
that
think.
you should make a decision tonight. That's all.
Rob,
If you were president,
I think everybody's clear on the legality.
Yeah,
We're not,
agree with
that's
that.
not the concern right now, at all.
our town attorney's been nodding along with you, something about the constructs of this, so I think that we're, you know.
well, what I like to do is I'd like to end the discussion and just vote on it and see exactly what the board feels. Then we'll go from there. You know, we still, like I said, we can vote on it today, or we can wait next week, 2 weeks or so. So let the board vote and decide which way we should go. Either way, within our parameters of passing this.
What, you wanna make a
You wanna
motion to
vote
vote on the resolution?
No,
To vote.
I think he's just
Oh.
asking if somebody has a proposed motion at this time, whether
Motion
to
to
table it
table.
or
I'll
whether
second
to.
it.
To do second one.
Table.
Table it.
All right, we have a motion on the table to table it
Until the 26th.
until the 26th of June.
A motion and a second.
And a
Motion
second,
and a second. Any
yeah.
further discussion? No? Let's vote. All in favor of the tabling? Aye. All in favor of not vote tabling it? It is tabled.
So
So we will be back again on the 26th.
Hey, by the way, thank you for letting me, join via cell phone. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, Rob.
See, Jim, when you put it next to the mic, he's like he's in the room.
Yeah. I did my gavel with the amount of that's what Manny wrote a whole motion to discuss for all of those.
See, Jim, when you put the cell phone next to the mic, he's like he's in the room.
Yeah, and I think I really did turn it around. So
it's like Mike in the car.
Night, Jim. Good to see you.
Okay, next order of business is the Kimball Terrace invoice. We have a Kimball Terrace invoice. The work has been structurally completed, not yet certified. Still being, working on this thing now, but we got the invoice from the project. And
Why is it on that they?
No, it's additional work. They have it's just additional, there's nothing wrong.
and yes.
Yeah.
No.
It's gonna go.
Yeah. Well,
And there's also. Okay,
Well, what's that 15,000? Is that what we already have?
they don't allow.
This is what, a 20% allowance on this thing?
not that high.
Okay, but there's an allowance.
Yeah, what happened on this particular project is, there, I think it was $15,000 allowance for extras in the contract that you awarded. And
It's up on the screen too.
there's rock, they hit rock.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the one area where we weren't in the exact same trench line as, the original drainage that was being replaced is where they hit rock, right next to Councilman Simpson's house. And,
He appreciated that.
there was a stipulation in the contract that rock would be paid at a rate of $200 a yard out of the allowance, but it would also be covered in change order. So this change order doesn't increase the cost of the project, but and there'll be a second change coming to you next month, which is also very small.
But the thing is though that, again, we're waiting on certification.
Oh yeah, we haven't certified the project yet.
Right. So once it's certified, so we're gonna hold on to the, we're not gonna pay the voucher yet until we get the certification.
Well, no, we're holding retainage on the contractor. So you should pay the voucher. Because we're holding back money from in the voucher, what we've certified to you.
Still has a reserve.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, the motion is that, hey, things are, we've already passed the resolution. Just keep updating what's going on. So we actually, you don't need a motion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, next thing is, the awarding of Wildwood RFP to Kingston Equipment Transfer Station. Now, mind you, that there is no resolution yet to accept this. Reason being, because this is only a workshop meeting, we will have a resolution next time. Going through there.
Do you need me to draft the resolution?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that will be to award the contract to
Kingston
Equipment,
Right.
which is a West Hurley company. Just for your information, there were 11 bids. The low bidder requested withdrawing his bid because he made a grievous mistake in his math. The second bid, which was Kingston Equipment Rental, also was very low, but not that low. We thought it was going to be about a $300,000 project. And there were two low bids, one very low, one low. But in talking with Kingston Equipment Rental, they want the project even at that low price.
Great. Town benefits.
Well, like these two projects, were in the works for 5 years combined. 17
Probably.
years and 18 years, and it's getting resolved.
Thank you. Oh, thank you for being so patient.
Yeah, so like, so we, the resolution we'll have on, the 26th, will be to award the contract to Kingston Rental, and then, whenever they can start work.
Yeah.
We'll go from there.
When is the, then we put the bids in.
If anyone needs a copy of the tabulation of the bids, we sent it out digitally, I think, but
Yeah, it's right here. Crooked, but
Okay.
it's here.
leave some. Any questions? Okay.
Also, I guess with Dennis's help, we have now, also with my children's help, Brittany Drive. We've now gotten the easements on Brittany Drive.
Oh, we don't have them yet. We have them.
We,
Mike has them to get.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, Matt.
Yeah, no, they're drafted. I just had, because there's the issue with the map. I don't know if you were on that email. So I just taken that, but they're done.
Making progress.
yeah, all right, but it's movement going on there. I know they, haven't waited as long as, Wildwood and Paris. But, we can deal with that also. Okay.
There is not a 17 or 18-year waiting period on grant. There shouldn't be. There couldn't be.
And, and the thing is, just, as a side by,
25 years old when we got to this.
I
Aaron was about this.
So anyway, we have to, we still have, we started out this fund, with stormwater drainage, we started out with $1 million, and, previous administrations will utilize that money, replenished it all along. It hasn't been replenished in about 2 years, we're down to like 700,000, taking it to Kimball Terrace and now Wildwood, we're talking about almost 500,000 being taken out, leaving us with 200,000, so we have to be creative, replenishing of that account to work on other projects coming through there. But we're gonna get that. We're gonna work on all those projects. We'll try as much as we can. So I'm sure. A lot of these projects, drainage projects, will be outside. Few of them could be done by the highway department. Right, Mike?
And how much of my budget's left there for you guys to keep.
You're cheaper than going outside, so we get this done, it's have to be announced. Okay, the next thing we have here is, well, we discussed peak engineering already, so we'll skip that. The old library update, Tim?
All right, we, at the last meeting, speaking with microphone so that I don't get perceived as yelling. So we, at the last meeting, so we've been working, obviously there was a kind of a two-part decision process. The old library has been vacant for a number of years now and is a town-owned property that, you know, wasn't really being maintained besides like the lawn. And it needed, you know, it needs some rehabbing if we're to keep it, or it needed to be sold. And so, you know, it seems like the attitude is to keep it. So we approved getting a feasibility study done, which we hired Paul Jankovic to do. And so Paul is doing that. And actually tomorrow and Thursday, we've got lead and asbestos testing going on at the building. So we have movement already on that. And we, in the next, I don't know, 3 weeks or so, yeah, Renier and Larry are surveying over there. Yeah. So, and so that's going on. And then we are, you know, we'll have basically a full recommendation, you know, to sort of make a decision to move forward. And there is, you know, there's talks of some potential grant money being available on that. So more to follow on how we're doing that. The vision there, again, just to reiterate, is community space on the first floor, sort of a lock-offable public bathroom as well. So like when we have like, say, the parade on Main Street, you know, you can open the bathroom in that building without opening up the whole building. And then putting Jim Decker, the historian's office, up on the second floor. And that would be a private office for the historian. So we wouldn't need to like put an elevator in the building. You don't have, for a private office, you don't have to go through the whole ADA. But the bathroom on the first floor and the first floor of the building would all be ADA. And then in the rear, a conference room, and then potentially we're thinking like some sort of like a shed roof or a porch off of the back of it, so that it would create two spaces for the community. Because right now, you know, the library has also said to us, you know, that they're getting the burden of a lot of community groups. You know, like today, my mother actually wanted to go in the library and they were having a painting class in one of like the two rooms of the library. So it would be helpful to have some other space. Maybe they could paint out on that patio and, you know, and then save sort of that crush of the library. There's a garden club that meets at the library. There's various, you know, small community groups that could use a small community space. So I think that would be sort of, you know, in the direction that we're going in town. And then if there needed to be an overflow, like a situation where like a board, maybe, you know, there's court going on the board, this would just take some of the pressure off of some of the space that we have available for us here in town. So I'm pretty excited about this project. Anyway, so that's the update on that. We've got movement on it, and we'll just be keeping everybody updated. So we're not going to just sort of let things kind of languish behind the scenes. We're going to keep providing brief updates on this. All right. What are we doing next? Highway garage?
Yeah, any other discussion on the old library?
I love it.
And thank you for your work on this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I got to also thank, like, we put together a really like good, you know, good group that sort of provided the direction on this. I didn't really do this. I just took direction from that group and we just, you know, got a bird dog it all the way up there. And then, all right, Mike, what's next?
The highway garage?
I'll do that one as well.
Go right ahead.
So, Maggie, can you open a tab and bring up, punch in maybe like, say 1015 Dug Hill Road, I think would be a good address to punch in.
Do you want me to do the parcel viewer instead?
Yeah, we can do the parcel viewer, Google Maps, parcel viewer, so I can do the parcel viewer. Western County GIS, yeah. There you go. All right, so, and is there a way to like fill the bottom, yeah?
Yep.
And then
Yep.
maybe a sat map?
Yep, I know exactly what you're gonna ask.
Where's the building?
There we go.
All right, so, and then maybe.
Yep,
slide
pull it down. Yeah,
pull it down.
reading your
Okay.
mind, Tim.
We've got a couple of parcels up there, so there's a parcel right now in the, like, that is the actual town park parcel, which includes the salt shed and, some of the things out in the rear there, but then, if you go, kind of slide down, we've spoken with John Bress with Delaware Engineering, and it is extremely inadvisable to build, the garage over the base of the current one as it contains like landfill type materials underneath of it. So it would require an extensive investigation, and it's subject to the Superfund stuff. So that current, yeah. So that current garage that's a salt shed. That's this building here. Yeah, perfect. And then the idea had come by to like do a big excavation and build a road all the way out into the back here to here, which would require like about $1 million worth of site work added to the project. Because you got to remember, everything on there like this is all old quarry. The quarrymen were all up through there, and different areas have been blasted out and stones removed. So the idea was, let's put the garage in this area, right? Because the big thing is like nobody else wants like me to show or the town to show up with a highway garage in their neighborhood, right? This use is already pretty consistent with the area up there on Doug Hill Road. So the idea would be I'll explain the process here in a minute. If you could slide down, Maggie, so you show where the tennis courts are. So this tennis court, we actually, right here, and there's a parking lot across the street. So this parcel here is
Yep, I just thought it would be easier.
Okay.
There.
We can start there, yeah. So then this parcel is like 2.2 acres. So 2.67. Okay. So that's perfect for certain types of building. It's not really big enough by the dimensions to put, like, if you see the size of this, like a highway garage is gonna be bigger than this parking lot. And so there's not really enough room to shoehorn a highway garage in over on this side. So the idea was, we were sitting around talking, and it was, well, we're already looking at spending $100,000, so basically rebuilding this tennis court as it is, because it's cracked most of the way across. And it's a hazard to the public at the moment. So the idea was to take basically a 5-acre piece, like right here in the area, mainly in the area that's already been disturbed, right? And cut that out, and we'll do what's called an alienation process, as well as alienating this, okay? Because this became designated as a park. It was not purchased as a park, but it was during the course of its ownership of the town, it became designated as a park. Now, if you could zoom out, Maggie, in doing the alienation process, it's a whole process, and it actually involves acts of the state. So we're in contact with both Sarah Hanna and Michelle Hinckley's offices. You can slide up here. You'll see. So the town owns, this is the landfill right now. The town owns this parcel, which is not designated as parkland. So the idea would be to add to the town's, trail system and max a decent sized piece of this parcel as well. So that would as a substitution, because when you alienate something for a park, you have to also then redesignate you have to swap it basically. So the idea would be to swap this nice forested land for the already disturbed, ground right along Doug Hill Road. And I've been to Maggie, I think I sent you some photos, like, I don't know if you still have them, like 2 weeks ago. But I just want to kind of show them again. I've been, I drive around quite a bit, so I saw Town Milan, which has the park, with garage use, right? And it's a pretty good, I was like, because I was a little like, well, what do we think about the aesthetics of it, except, but they can coexist pretty well, because most people are using the parks after school and after work when the highway garage is traditionally shut down. And then And on the weekends, when the highway garage is also shut down, people don't generally use outdoor fields during, snow events, which is when the highway garage is running on a 24-hour basis. So the idea, is to kind of have those two things coexist. And as part of the highway project, actually, because we are, even though the tennis court is not usable, we would add putting the correct macadam in to then bring the vendors in for the pickleball and the tennis courts, which we've already been discussing adding to the park. So really just improving, park with garage, everybody wins, you get an improved park. We get a highway garage that's actually workable so that we're not, we spend 30 minutes to an hour every day shuttling per employee, shuttling back and forth from Basin Road over to Doug Hill Road. So it's really, there's a lot of like dead time that we're wasting, where keeping everything in one place would be great. And the reason why the 2.6 acres, I keep pointing that out, that would be a great location for a future town hall, okay? Like a new building for the town hall, because we're already at a point where there's desks all throughout the court room down there. Every office is jam-packed with, the place is bursting at the seams. We have record retention requirements that make it so that there's, seemingly hundreds of filing draws down there. So it's really, I don't think it's hundreds, but there's really a lot of, we're bursting at the seams down at town hall. So that potentially, I don't know if we have an appetite. I think this is something we need to ask the public, but like if there's an appetite to just bond it all at once and just do it all, or if we want to just do the highway garage and pick the ball down the road on the town hall, or if we really want to just be the people that set our town up for the future. We really haven't invested, and longtime town residents, whose parents also lived in town, said to me, here in Hurley, we've lived off of hand-me-downs our whole lives, and this is really an opportunity we're going to get once to really do things right and set ourselves up for the future, for the next 50 or 100 years. That garage there was built like 100 years ago. It's an old building. So it's time for the town to have a new highway facility, and, like using a used fire hall for a town hall has been, been cheap, but it hasn't been necessarily always the most effective. And we do have a lot of employee turnover, and I've often wondered, if the employees had a little more, space and, that sort of a thing, whether we might have a little bit more comfortable environment for our employees to work in. So, and as well as, the conflicts between meetings and the court that go on frequently, like we've been at these town meetings where, the court is in session. So anyway, I'm probably getting the staff to pull me off stage here. So anyway, that's what's currently we're up to with the highway garage. We're just working with Delaware Engineering to really, get this thing rolling, and discussing with state representation as far as parkland.
Two things also with the alienation. We have to swap. We're going to take out 5-7 acres out of the park. We have to give 5 to 7 acres. It has come to our attention through here that the area that we're going to swap it for holds Native American artifacts. So now we call it a park, and now we're solving, two problems with sites. To get the garage, and then we swap out and do the Native American artifacts, that land there, parkland. The other caveat that came out of here, talking to John Brust, he is going to throw in 4 lots. In other words, we are not going to do the garage yet until we carve out a tennis court and carve out a pickleball court up there and a basketball court. So John Brust has told us that for no extra cost, he will pave an area. He'll excavate the area, pave it down, coming in there, and then we call Craftco come in, and they will then put the top finishing on both the pickleball court and also the tennis courts, as well as the basketball court up there. So that's the first thing that's gonna happen, is that we're not gonna lose any kind of recreation sites.
It's a gain for recreation, and it's a gain for the highway department. We're in the business of creating wins.
If we had, in other words, if we had to rebuild the tennis courts, we'd have to pave the whole thing ourselves. And that's, I imagine, be hundreds of thousands of dollars just on that. We're getting this as part of that. So this is a great opportunity. Let's put it that way.
So that's next thing we're waiting for is to see if the state's gonna approve that alienation?
This is, my feeling is that I haven't spoken, I had phone calls to Emma Cohn, the executive assistant, and Michelle, and I also have to speak, I haven't called on the Solana, the same thing. My feeling is they are both up for reelection. I think they would want to have Hurley on their
But
side.
that, our next number.
Yes, that's what we're doing right now, but meanwhile, we're still going forward with the plans. You know, in other words, we're not waiting for them first to get about.
I mean, I feel that doing a swap is probably, is more than like, especially where we've got a ground disturbance area that we're taking out of a park and adding a nice, and protecting a nice wooded forested area. I think it's a win-win. You know,
Well, you know,
this will probably be largely procedural.
But not only that, though, where we want to put the garage right now is a dump zone. We have old tillings. We have old pavement tillings, mounds there that when I go to the park, I see kids there, they're climbing. So that gets cleaned up.
That whole area where the pavement would go be cleaned up as well.
What's the rent fees for that?
So I think this is a great opportunity.
Was a comprehensive plan, at that site. And then
We
decide
did-
how
yes.
we're gonna maybe rezone some of the land that are around the existing.
Well, if need be, we will. Everything's,
Residential sites around that proposed.
I understand. I know it's a residential area around the south with the garage being, and maybe we can convert some to the commercial use. Well, yes, that's on the table too. We are discussing that coming through us and going that way. Okay?
There's still a few stuff on the agenda.
Councilman Gregory, Simpson has to be, he has another appointment, that's a very important one. So, we still have 3 members here. So continue to be a discussion.
The only thing that we would add is that the Greenway project, which is on the agenda, we'll defer that to the 26th. There'll be a lot more updates on what's going on there. So my apologies.
And now, updates right now, we'll put on the website tomorrow. All right, before we get to the visual session, I just have a couple of announcements here coming through. We sent out the survey to review committee coming through there. We have out of 2,800 that were sent out, 456 residents responded. That's 16%. That is a significant number, going through, and now the CRC is going through, compiling the results coming through, and that result should be put on very shortly, and see what's necessary. What I'd like to do before we get to the visual assessment, July 4th potential town event. It was my call to cancel the Memorial Day Parade. I was up 4 in the morning, listened to the weather forecast, and didn't sound great. I called Dan Snyder, who's the charge of the DFW, who leads the parade, and he said he doesn't want his old guys getting away. Yeah, so I said I'll call you back at 5 o'clock. Called at 5 o'clock. It was ominous at 6 o'clock when I started hearing other towns canceling, and then all of a sudden Kingston High School, we had the band marching. They canceled over the rain. Even though it didn't rain. Weather. Right. All right. So anyway, so I feel real bad because we have a grand marshal, we have a plaque, we have new flag and everything that John Perry died and so forth. I would like to see something done on July 4th. Compensate for what happened on Memorial Day. You don't know exactly how we're going to do this thing. My feeling is that John Perry wants to have it at Town Hall because the new flag will be installed at Town Hall. We'll have again the same kind of food fair coming through and talk to the Grand Marshal from that was designated at that to do something. Other ways of doing it is you go to the park. Let's use the Town Hall Park and do it there. This way we ensure that if it does rain more or less, we have a covering. And let's use that new ball field. Almost. But I'm just saying, these things we're going to discussion. So we'll talk a little more about the July 4th. I think, I've said that a few to all the town board and everyone responded in a positive way. I think, I don't have to give. I think it's a good idea. Person speaking, since we lost Memorial Day parade for this thing.
Oh, I like to mention this is the program Marshall. This is people like have a choice more than they didn't get to do anything, just they said get recognized.
Well, also, like, we have like a new flag and so forth, and
Correct.
I
So
think,
we have two, one for the town hall, one for the park.
part. So I think either way we go. So I guess we'll, well, what do you guys feel?
I think it'd be better off to town hall. I think you get more people that.
I mean, as far as the ceremonial, if you're not going to extend it to the VFW, you could potentially do it inside if need be, if something were to occur based on inclement weather. And, you know, or if it's a situation where the 4th of July is on a Thursday and you want to do it at that agenda meeting, you know, you can also present to the Grand Marshal.
Is it on Thursday, July 4th?
Correct.
Yeah, that's a long weekend.
So I don't know how many people will be there either, but what I'm saying is you could also potentially present to Doug at a town board meeting or agenda meeting.
I do. I think the fact that this is something we should be doing.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. So we'll have more plans on the 26th, or if we're all in agreement of it, we can start the planning of it and just send it out.
I agree. So that location and any different next day. I
The
like,
location is where? Town hall or?
I'm indifferent is what I
Oh,
said.
this is Diana?
Oh, I think you'd have more people who would come to town hall, but I wouldn't be opposed to park.
Oh, no, no, that's it.
I mean, the park is so underutilized and we're just not using it again.
But it might be rented since, you know, it is a holiday. People might want to.
If we use it, we're gonna rent it.
Okay.
What you say, it might
It's not
already
rented
be.
now.
I don't believe it's rented out. I mean,
Okay.
that weekend, but not
Okay.
July 4th.
You're going to have it on the day of the 4th of July.
I would like to have it.
Okay, I'm just making clarification.
What is your suggestion?
With what's going on with.
You want maybe to do like July 3rd?
Yeah. Say half day, I believe. I don't know.
So can I make a suggestion?
Is that a half day for you guys?
No, we just have the day off.
Woodstock, when I was supervisor, and the whole thing that turned into the volunteer day, and was really because that was one, it was a 100-year anniversary for the fire departments, and they wanted to have a big event. And when we talked about it, the fireworks that we could get basically double the show, not on July 4th. And so they sort of ran it into August, and that's how they picked we picked a random day. Because if you're gonna do something, like, you have to have a reason to bring people there. But people go to Saugerties, people go down to the Rondout to see the fireworks, 4th of July. But you could do something similar where you pick just a random, and you do an event, because it would be cool to have some fireworks. or
That's
something.
the email that you received from the county. So if you're going to do something of that nature, they would actually present it to the county as a whole.
Right.
But you could be looking at a tremendous amount of people, so you have to do it.
Right.
You know, an assembly, you know, you have to have everything all permitted.
Right.
So, I mean, there's more, depending on the work you want to put into it.
Right, and what
In
you
a very
want to
short
do.
period of time.
But anyway, that was just my,
All right.
Well, I like the volunteer day thing too.
That'd be nice, yeah.
We can do it in September. I mean, you don't have.
You don't have to do an event.
Summer works really hot.
So in other words, bypass the July 4th, I can tell that,
If we're gonna, I think that's a good start.
Because other people, I mean, people already have
Right, July
scheduled
4th.
events for July 4th. There's a lot.
We're going away. It's a Thursday.
you want to try it on a weekend in August?
Or September was cooler.
Well, how about May, how about calling it a Hurley Day?
Yeah.
Or how about this day?
Right? Maybe it's just on some other app.
Maybe they could go into the list,
Before school starts.
Yeah, that would be great. What used to be the Stonehouse Day.
No, July 16th or something. It used to,
No,
wasn't it like in the middle of July?
Well, second or third weekend in July?
I just remember seeing the billboards.
Usually the second Saturday in July.
Okay, see, 16th wasn't an odd thought.
I mean, that's what.
Well,
I
I want me to fix
do.
that. We discuss that next week.
Okay, so we'll discuss that in the next meeting.
So it's not really July 4th, it's just looking at doing a town event.
A Hurley Day.
Hurley Day.
Yeah, look at that. I think a lot of people do a lot of things after lunch.
Right. And the thing is, what we could do with food more or less, we can buy like a food truck to come in there.
Food trucks. We're gonna look at doing some food trucks. We're already talking about food trucks, senior lunches, and a whole bunch of other
Soup day.
things. Soup day, soup day once we get back to the fall.
So the Stonehouse Day currently is Saturday, July 13th. It's been crossed out, so it looks like they're making adjustments as well.
All right, so we'll talk about
I
that.
didn't think there's
People
anything-
did fly.
They canceled some.
They were doing something in September, with their whole heritage.
So we'll talk about it on July.
That would be a great time, because they'll have the,
All right, last thing here on the agenda here is the visual assessment law. This is, we put this on here only because there were many people, I couldn't say many people, but people have complained about, the burdensome of the visual assessment on the, Tracy, who also is a, you are the planning attorney? Yeah, you're the planning attorney?
What?
She's not the planning attorney.
No, I am not here. No, I'm not the planning attorney here. No.
No, not here, but in the
Marble
market.
House, right. So Mike had asked me to touch this because there's been several people who have been raising concern about this. I had a conversation with the building department. I have not had a conversation with the planning board yet. And really I think that what the suggestion is coming up with some way, Peter, I mean, if you would chime in, that would be great. Coming up with some way of streamlining. I mean, I think that what's happened is all of a sudden this has hit a lot of people where it probably has been on the books and not really overly utilized. But there's gotta be a way of modifying this so that if someone really is not impacting and is not building in a location that is on the escarpment, visible, or not necessarily in the escarpment, but also just in the lower areas of the A4 district, that there's some way to sort of short circuit, whether it be that there's a building department review initially, and also just a clean understanding, because I think that part of what Pete was talking about, and I don't know you, and I've never met you, but what Pete was talking about and the other people that have sort of called, and I've just been filtering some complaints. So part of what's been happening is the clerk's office has been getting several complaints. So, and in general, Matt, myself, Jim Quigley, we're all trying to see if we can get some of the departments to set up procedures and policies. And this part of the problem with this, I think, is from a planning perspective, is it may be just broad and overburdensome for people who are sort of on that edge. People don't anticipate that this may be a 3, 4, 5 month time frame. And it's just about trying to narrow down what it is that the town is trying to achieve and to sort of help provide some guidance to people coming through. And also, if the project is not really visible, giving them the exit strategy. And I mean, I don't know, I really haven't delved into, I was supposed to be on the zoning committee, but everything else has just been overwhelming. So I have not participated. It also happens to be on a night that I already have something scheduled, so I couldn't really attend. The architectural, we've got an architectural review sort of board now quickly, so maybe we can sit down quickly with the architectural review board, the building department, Peter, and somebody else from the planning board, and try to come up with some guidelines and also some modification and a short process for people who are not truly building something that's on the escarpments. And I agree, I remember when Lori and Retta's house went up, and it was one of the first visible houses on that ridge, as you were coming down 28. I was there when, we put in the scenic overlay in Woodstock. So anyway, not that this is a bad law, I think that it
Streamlined.
needs to be streamlined and modified and tweaked and made user friendly. And that's really all of it.
Yeah, so I will jump in. So I think one thing we can do is make it easier for applicants when they come in the door. This is what you need, as opposed to, okay, you got that, now you come back, oh, now you need this.
Right, right.
I know from my experience with motor vehicles with that.
Right.
Want to do.
That would be great. That's
Something similar, but also, looking at tweaking the law in terms of what allows that's not going to receive something. I think the planning board does, when there are cases where this is never going to receive from anywhere, person's backyard. I think we do.
And
make that determination.
I mean, I think that some of the comments are just the amount and the volume of data and information that some of the applicants have had to provide and how it really relates to the objective. And so I think that that's just part of what we should be looking at.
Well, Tracy, I think also like this gentleman here, Peter, he did state that, he was asked to provide a survey which at a cost of $1,650, but then wasn't used. And so that was,
It wasn't, okay.
So
There are things that will get attached that are necessary.
So,
Just,
Maggie?
yep.
So anyway, so Peter, I think that hopefully, and maybe what we could do is to bring in some of the more recent applicants and try to get a sense of what their experience was, and then try to. And I don't know how quickly. I mean, you sounded like it was taking you months to get through the process, but
This first meeting, the second meeting was last month, so now hopefully the last one is going to be this one.
and I just know from hearing from people, part of what is a major concern is when people are coming through a subdivision, they know that there's going to be. They know that they have to anticipate a 6-month sort of delay between they get to the end. When people are theoretically thinking they're ready to get a building permit and they all of a sudden realize that, oops, this is like a major hurdle for them. So that's something that I think.
We'll work on it. More streamlined process, but also.
Well, you could also if you, in other words, when they come in, like Peter comes in, he tells you what he wants to do. Give him a list of what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we're saying, yeah.
Right. That wasn't done because every time he came, you have to now do this, you have to do that. He went one time. So in other words, instead of being 3 months, then you'll be 2 months.
We've already got clarification from Paul that this someone like Peter will be on the agenda right away. He may not have any decisions made because he won't have what he needs, but at least he'll get to introduce himself to the board and that process.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we
I
can
just
start.
wanted to chime in because I was on the planning board for a long time, and many times it wasn't visibly seen anywhere, it got it passed that same night. The problem I had watching Peter the other night was he had submitted plans months ahead of time that there was a white house, and it's not till that night that he finds out that white wasn't gonna make it, even though nobody's ever gonna see this house. This is not gonna be seen from anywhere. So the fact that when we saw it, we could have said to him, has some different, or he could have just had a conditional approval. Change the color of the house and we're gonna approve it so that we're not coming back again, because he's not somebody that is gonna get seen all over.
That's good. That's all, it's when they called us, they called myself, they called Tracy. They were, someone from confused, going like, we're doing this, and the answer is, we need this, this. So all I'm saying is our job here is to encourage people, if they want to build homes and.
our job here is to serve the public.
Yeah. Right.
And so the easier we can make it, the better.
We also want to serve the public by not having.
Yeah, of course, that,
Right.
yes.
I think it's an
I'm just saying that, it's not an eyesore.
So we just need some, I think we can work on guidelines and try to streamline the process for people that.
Peter, what you're doing and your planning board does, it's magnificent. It's great. It really is something that you're really diligent at your work. And I appreciate that. I watched it. I went to 3 planning board meetings so far. You guys are very sincere. And I think that's great. I think you have what the towns should be and what the people should be doing also this. And I think that's wonderful. But just streamline.
Thank you, and I want to give a lot of credit to people like Carl Bruckner, who's been fighting it for years, and, you know, sometimes I'm like, oh, well, maybe we should just pass this, and Carl, you know.
I know, he's
like, he's the conscious. No, maybe we should look at this one.
Oh, my.
Careful, Mike. I'm just saying, like, you know, let's make it more user friendly in a sense.
Yeah, let's work on it.
Okay, good. Okay, all right. Okay.
Mike, this was in the packet, but not on the agenda. It, a resignation from the
Yeah.
ZBA and new
Just so that
appointment?
you guys are aware, so yeah, so a member of the ZBA, has, sent in his resignation. The ZBA is also in receipt of a, request to join their board by, Stephanie Whitten. Her, resume is attached. So at the next board meeting.
Oh, okay.
The fifth, that there will probably be a proposed resolution for you guys to accept the resignation and potentially appoint this.
Yeah, the only problem with this, and I discussed this with my three colleagues here, that Stephanie Whitten happens to be the wife of Mitchell Combs. He's on the planning board. Yeah, I mean, I looked at her resume and I thought she was going for Supreme Court justice. That's a wonderful thing. And then when I found out that that's Mitch Combs' wife. It's a tough call.
Well, she would just have to recuse herself if they were, right. If the planning board is interpretation, that's all it is.
Well, this is, things
We
are.
can put out there's an opening on the ZBA.
Well, yes, and Josh Vogt, I saw him today, he asked, for us to recommend her, and I was gonna write a resolution for it until I realized that that's Mitch Combs' wife, so I want to bring it to the board to see what goes through. I'd like her.
Yeah, I think they're just providing you the documentation, but any kind of discussions or potential resolutions will be addressed on the 20th.
So we'll put out, also, what we can do in a sense, if she is chosen, what conditions, she don't just give us.
No, by law, the law, yeah, there's no, the law is very clear.
You guys don't have the power to limit the power of anyone.
And it would only be if she.
And it would be, I advise the zoning board if there would be an issue, if she were appointed that arose. She, just like everyone else, would have to fill out the disclosure and, have to recuse herself if there's any potential conflict, particularly something.
Something we can think about. Okay, second public comment.
Motion to open public comment?
Okay. All right. Make a motion to open the second public comment.
You didn't vote on it.
Discussion? All four?
Aye.
Wow. No one's opposed.
Good, because it won't
All
pass.
right. 8 minutes rest and then.
Yeah, I'm Kathy Donlin from 7 Walco Drive. I've been the pain in the neck board since Mr. Perry was the supervisor. I just want to thank you guys from the bottom of our hearts. This has been going on. I've been here 9 years, and I know John tried getting stuff done. There was an easement problem. Mike Schultes went above board, getting everything done. You guys have been amazing. We cannot wait to not have our basements flooded. I cannot thank you guys enough.
I'm just so sorry it took so long.
It was an easement problem that held up most of it, but, you know,
And we got it corrected.
now you guys have got it, and we are so
Back in
grateful.
our
We just want to thank you. All of us want to thank you so much.
Thank you for your patience.
You know? Glad I get done.
Sometimes it all works out.
I just have to keep the one in the sidewalks. That's right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I hope you still come to meetings.
I will. You want to add a dog park in that thing? I'll be coming too, you know?
There you go.
Any other, anybody else want to speak? All right, make a motion to, close second public comment.
Motion to close public comment?
All right, discussion, no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we have a, request for executive session.
This is an executive session pursuant that based on information brought to my attention today, but pursuant to section 105 E, that this is pertaining to discussions regarding proposed pending current litigation, the Cedar litigation.
I thought that we.
Well, this is not.
You're
You're
on the right side, if you're coming from,
This is
if you're coming from Hurley Mountain Road, you're on the right side.
The motion, allowed.
Motion to go into executive session and include the following town board,